Hey, this is Ross Bain with Roleplaying Bulk Radio. We're playing Delta Green here at Gen Con 2018 with Adam Scott Glancy running the game. I do not know the name of the scenario, though.
Well, right now, the scenario has the name The Gorgon Incident. But
Good. That's
there. I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure you're going to be fine. I really shouldn't have told you the name of it at all, but this scenario does start with a certain amount of pre-knowledge on the parts of the characters. Okay? Do you want me to explain anything, or do you want to
Yes.
go around? Okay.
Or whatever order you want.
So let me set.
Yeah, let's set the cast first. Yeah.
Let me set up and then I'll do with the cast, because some of the setup is about the cast.
Mm-hmm.
The year is 1932. The date is April. Let's see here. I believe it's the 25th. Let's see here. Yeah, April 25th, 1933. Sorry, not 23.
Okay.
The incident. There's a lot of back information that takes place during 1932.
Oh, I see.
Right now, the year is 1932. You guys are going to be in Boston. You people work for the P4 division of the Office of Naval Intelligence, and and after all the lovely whiskey you fed me earlier, if I can remember what P4 stands for, that'll be fantastic. And I believe it's the Paranormal, Preternatural, and Psychic Phenomena division of the Office of Naval Intelligence.
P4, yeah.
You guys are essentially Delta Green before there's Delta Green. Because Delta Green doesn't happen until 1942, once the war with Germany, Nazi Germany, starts. However, what has happened is Innsmouth. Mm-hmm. Innsmouth happened in February of 1928. The United States Navy could not help but notice there are these assholes who live under the ocean, breathe water, and can do things to the American naval force that no other force on Earth can do. They can cause untold amount of damage. And so, despite Innsmouth being essentially covered up and all the people shipped off to internment camps and people trying to forget about it, the Navy, and Naval Intelligence in particular, could not forget that there is a threat to the entire structure of the U.S. Navy. And as far as where all the dollars are going between the two wars, it's the Navy. All right? The Army is rolled back to almost Indian War levels of participation. But the real money is in the battleships, the aircraft carriers, the submarines. Right? And consequently also the Marine Corps. As they get their tiny sliver. I suspect they got more money per Marine than the Army did, even though there are probably less Marines wandering around in the 1930s. But they're the ones who get deployed to places like Nicaragua to go chase Sandino around. They're the ones that go to Haiti or the Dominican Republic or do any of the banana wars or any of the interventions. While the Army stays at home and practices with cardboard tanks until they convince the Japanese that we're completely unprepared to fight a global war and attack us on December the 8th, 1941. Now, you guys are part of the Office of Naval Intelligence, the closest thing that America has to a permanent intelligence agency in this time period. We don't have an OSS. We have completely sort of ad hoc amateur organizations through the State Department, the Army, and the Office of Naval Intelligence. A lot of that non-State Department work is actually, during the 20s and 30s, organized domestically, looking at socialists, communists, and not really doing the job of collecting information that a military might need for a future conflict. The ONI is pretty good. They're not perfect. But, more lovely booze. But you guys are part of P4. P4 is concerned with the idea that there's stuff out there under the water that modern science has not come to understand, and it's a threat to the Navy's operations globally. So what has happened is, not only has Innsmouth happened, so the Navy is aware of that, but another incident has happened, or happened prior to Innsmouth. In 1919, at the end of World War I, in the Japanese, what would eventually become the Japanese mandate for the Pacific, the island of Kosrae, which is an island that had previously been run by the Germans. The Japanese seized it in 1914. There was an incident on the island of Kosrae where the Japanese garrison died under horrific and mysterious circumstances. Two of you officers have the files on this. That is to say, I believe the
I do.
cryptographer and also the diplomat, who technically speaking is the commanding officer of this unit. Well, you can't have everything.
Damn it. I'm sorry.
But during that incident, what happened is the Japanese soldiers on that island, including some who were on a ship just offshore, were paralyzed. The means of paralyzation the mechanism of how they're paralyzed has never truly been understood. But it was not a gas, it was not a bacteriological agent, as far as I can tell.
So they were all paralyzed?
They were all paralyzed, but they did not die.
So they could still breathe.
Well, if they do breathe, they breathe incredibly slowly. When their bodies were found by the U.S. Navy, it was believed that they were mummified. They were autopsied, and their internal organs were found to be alive and filled with blood. Oxygenated blood, same as their brains. However, cracking open their sternums and opening up their brain pans didn't do them any favors. The same way it wouldn't do a live person any favors. And then those organs began to putrefy and die afterwards. But something like several hundred Japanese sailors were killed on this island. The mechanism for killing them is something that the Navy has referred to as the Gorgon effect. They're not sure how it works, but it appears that, just like the myth, looking at something caused them or triggered a reaction in their muscles that paralyzed them and hardened them almost to a kind of leathery characteristic. They didn't die. They were casual on the island. They were caused by other things. But the things that you've gotten from the file is that these guys were sort of reduced to a kind of living death. The U.S. Navy has a couple of non-dissected Japanese sailors that they keep, probably in the same warehouse that they keep the Ark of the Covenant, or will, since it's only 1933 and the Ark doesn't show up for another 3 years. But they are kept aside with they're actually kept in a hospital where the staff plays movies in front of them and plays music around them in the hopes that somehow
some stimuli will actually...
Well, it's like that.
Unshrivel them.
Well, not that, but it just will keep them from going buggo. Because they appear to be... There's evidence that was collected at St. Costa that suggests that they were aware of their environment. They can hear, they can see, despite being paralyzed. It's like those incidences from Awakenings, the movie, where those kind of paralysis that without any kind of long-term care, constantly keeping them stimulated, even though they can't demonstrate a reaction to the stimulation, they will go just absolutely out of their gourds. So, anyways, those fellows are sitting off in a veterans hospital someplace, in a ward that nobody's allowed to go to. That incident was 1919. There was some suggestion that the Japanese were investigating the phenomenon when it went off in their faces. Perhaps they were investigating it as a possible weapon system. But no one's completely sure. Even those reports that you're allowed to have access to are inconclusive. Now, the problem is that last year, it has only just now come to the attention of the Office of Naval Intelligence that last year there was a death in the city of Boston that appears to be exactly like, well, death. There was an incident in Boston where someone appears to have been exposed to this Gorgon effect and been rendered permanently paralyzed and then killed during a police autopsy. They do not have an idea of who this was because no identification has been found on the man. But they believe that this incident took place in Boston on December the 8th. It was the culmination of a series of events that, again, had not, for whatever reason, and we say, why didn't Naval Intelligence know this? There's the 6 of you guys here who are in the Office of Naval Intelligence in this special division. Naval Intelligence is like 100 guys. I mean, it's mind-numbingly small during this time period. It's really shockingly small. They're very much reliant on the work of naval attachés in embassies around the world. There's not much in the way of covert operations. There's not much in the way of agent networks being run. It's incredibly tiny. It's incredibly anemic during the interwar period. So the idea that this did not get to ONI is not necessarily a matter of any kind of conspiracy, but just this is how long it takes information to filter up. I keep hoping that I will have time to write an article for the Oath about Grandpa's Google. That is to say, the use of clipping services during this period of time. When you're a player and you want to get information about an event or a type of thing quick, you can't go to the internet. You go to a professional clipping service, an organization that has people manually reading newspapers from around the world, taking articles out and putting them in files based on what the subject matter of the article is, to create huge caches of information like weird murders or stock market fluctuations in the beans, as opposed to the turnips or whatever. And they have all this organized, in these private companies. And I'd really love to be able to...
Lumley, Brian Lumley.
Yes, he does.
Them in the Boris beneath. Yeah.
Yes, he does. And it's one of the great sort of stupid player character tricks. Like, why can't we hire private investigators? Why do we have to go stick our dicks into every horrible thing that ends up melting our faces off? Why can't we have Sam Spade go do that for us? And when he dies, I guess we're not going to the Penhue Foundation,
I think we call it the Pinkerton Shield.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well, we go there with guns.
No. We convince the cops to go there with guns.
That's fair.
We've sent the police into the meat grinder on more than one occasion, and it's not great for police relations. They remember all the guys who didn't come back from the raid, but on the other hand, you're like, we told you, But that won't be an option in this. You guys are the team. You guys are it. If you're thinking there's some other part of ONI that's working on something really important, no. This is it. It's you guys right now. ONI is incredibly small, and P4 is even smaller than that. There's maybe another 20 people involved. Anyways, you guys are doing the domestic work, and you're going to be coming out of the D.C. area, out of the offices of the Department of the Navy. But basically what you've been able to gather through open source and going backwards, the first thing that rung the bell were the deaths in the Cabot Museum in Boston, Massachusetts. A guard was murdered in the museum, strangled to death, and 2 intruders died in the museum. They died in front of a mummy case that they were attempting to break into. One of them died from inexplicable reasons. Nobody knows. Just a heart attack is what the newspaper said. The other one seemed to fall into a form of paralysis. Now, going back from that incident was December the 8th. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. That's December the 1st. December the 1st, those two guys died in front of the mummy case at the Cabot Museum. Going backwards in time, you'll find that there are news stories revealing that a man was arrested in the museum attempting to secrete himself in like a closet or whatever and wait until the place was closed after hours. That happened back in November 26th. There was another incident in the month of November 1932 last year. Let's see here. Yes, November 18th, somebody had a hysterical fit, a foreigner, a man identified in the news reports only as a Highland Peruvian, had a fit in front of the very same mummy case and had to be hospitalized. There is, let's see here. In September of 1932, an attempt was made to break into the mummy case using a lockpick, which resulted in an arrest. And in, let's see here. In fact, two incidents in September. Once on September the 2nd and once on September the 9th. September the 2nd was, well, technically, I guess, the Filipino would be considered an American subject because they're from what is an American colony. Mm-hmm. And also, the other fellow, a Hawaiian, was arrested for attempting to cut the glass on the case. This particular exhibit got an enormous amount of attention due to two things. One was reporting from a newspaper called the Boston Pillar. A reporter named Stuart Reynolds wrote about the mummy, which had been in the museum since 1870. Let's see here, I think it's 9. Yeah, November 7th, 1879. This particular mummy has been on display at the Cabot Museum. In the spring of 1931, the first a news story was actually put out about this mummy that caused a bunch of attention to be drawn to it. The reporter's name is Stuart Reynolds. He wrote an article that mixed in a lot of material from Lewis Spence. Does anyone know who Lewis Spence is? Lewis Spence was a occultist. Or a studier of the occult in the 1920s and 30s. Lewis Spence wrote a book called The Vampire, His Kith and Kin, which is sort of a go-to book on vampires and werewolves even today. Lewis Spence wrote, he's not quite, God, who is it that wrote Low in the Book of the Damned? Any remember?
Is it P. Manley Hall?
I think Ford.
Ford. Charles Ford. Charles Ford wrote Book of the Damned and Low, which are the big, sort of, again, go-to books on supernatural, preternatural phenomena. But Lewis Spence was another one of these guys. Reynolds' article drew heavily from Spence and Colonel Churchward. Churchward is famous for being the guy who developed the theory of the lost continent of Mu.
Oh.
Okay?
Churchward,
yeah. Now,
That's not
basically the article that was written in 1931 sort of set the stage for this, where it claimed that this mummy, because of how it was found and where it was found, was a survivor of ancient Mu, kind of like being a survivor from Atlantis. There then followed another publication in the summer of 1931 by a magazine called The Occult Review, written by a famous New Orleans occultist or mystic named Etienne Laurent de Marigny. I will just tell you his last name, Marigny. Marigny. This article also drew from some churchward sources and Smith sources, but also brought in some other sources, including somebody named von Junst.
What? No.
Yeah.
Particularly in reference to some of the things, the artifacts that were discovered with the mummy when it was originally brought back to the United States.
I'm sorry, did it say where it was found?
Yeah. Yeah, it was found on an island in the South Pacific on May 11th, 1878, by the crew of the freighter Iradenas, bound from Wellington, New Zealand to Valparaiso, Chile. They discovered an island that had been thrust up out of the ocean. It was a new island, or at least it was an uncharted island. They recorded its location. They made a landing. They found a partial collapsed structure on the island containing the mummy. They took the mummy and its effects back to the ship and proceeded on. The mummy was eventually purchased on auction and brought to the Cabot Museum through a number of intermediaries. An attempt by the curator of the Cabot Museum, a man named Eugene Pickman, failed to locate any island at the coordinates that were previously marked. So the mummy has sort of existed in the museum as a kind of
Curiosity.
yeah. It's there's been some question about whether or not it's an actual find or whether it's perhaps a hoax like the Fijian mermaid or something. Clearly, the staff had determined that it was not a taxidermical hoax. Right? It really is a mummy. The chances are it's one of the mummies from the Alamanca Desert in Chile. Right? There's a super dry desert in northern Chile that there are a number of mummy finds that have been found over the years. Yes, sir.
Do we have a gender on this mummy, or is that at all possible to see?
It was absolutely a male.
All right.
But this is the information that has been gathered going through open sources about this. That this mummy came into the possession of the museum in 1879. Not much happened until Reynolds of the Boston Car wrote about it the first time. There was a second article in the summer of 1931. Let's see, it's 19. Yeah, summer of 1931 that brought more attention to it. And then during the course of late 1932, there were a number of incidences where people tried to break in the museum, steal the mummy, have to cut something else, steal something off the mummy. Nobody's really sure. Now, since the two guys died on December 1st, and again, they remain unidentified. Except to say one of them appears to be a Fiji Islander, and another one appears to be Burmese. And that's all I know for sure about them. There have been a number of other incidents since this fateful December day that your researchers have been able to come up with for you. Number one, the curator, the director of the Cabot Museum on April 22nd, the new one.
No. Oh.
Yeah, the guy back in 1870.
Oh, right now, no.
It's gone. The most recent curator is a man named Dr. Richard H. Johnson. His obituary appeared April 22nd, 1933, just 5 days ago. The other odd thing is that there were two people closely associated with Mr. Johnson, or Dr. Johnson, I should say. There was Dr. William Minot, M-I-N-O-T. He was I guess you could say an anatomist who had some connection to the Cabot Museum through some of its trustees. He was murdered On February the 18th, he was stabbed in the back during an apparent mugging attempt or robbery and died the following day. That's not particularly off the wall, but again, you add that Mr. Johnson has passed away from a heart failure, and Mr. Wentworth Moore, the taxidermist who is employed by the Cabot Museum, has vanished. We're not sure exactly when. The last time anyone saw him that has been recorded, according to the news stories and open source, is March 11th, 1933.
And for Mr. Minot, did the obituary actually give a specific cause of death in his murder?
I mean, it was stabbed, he said.
Was stabbed? Okay, sorry, thank you.
He eventually died of. He was stabbed in the kidneys.
Okay. So.
How common are stabbings at this time?
Well, it's Boston.
Well, yeah.
But he was killed in an area of Boston that's referred to as Beacon Hill.
Right.
Which is the oldest, right off of Boston Commons, which is where the museum is. It's in the Beacon Hill neighborhood. It's old money. It's not the sort of thing that happens in that part of town. To go into that part of town to rob somebody is tempting fate with a rather large police presence that exists. So regardless, the mummy has been taken out of display at the museum. Nobody knows where it is now, at least as far as your researchers have been able to determine. Now, phone calls were made, and the questions were asked. Is the memo on display? Where is it now? Museum does not care to comment. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Is it not being kept in storage? I mean, a museum will have a lot of stuff that isn't.
Of course.
On display.
Of course. Like most of their collection is not on display. And it's in rotation.
Yeah.
They probably have warehouses for that too.
Yes.
The answer is only that the museum has decided to no longer display the mummy due to the incident on December 1st. They've taken it out of circulation. Since that decision was made on, I guess it would have been like December the 9th, when it was officially removed. Again, 3 people associated with the Cabot Museum have come to unfortunate ends.
And we don't know where the mummy is.
We don't know where the mummy is at this point.
One question.
So it's like more than six people have like died or suffered trauma related to this.
There's a guard, 2 guys who broke in, and 3 members of the museum staff.
But only one of them
There was also-
suffering the Gorgon effect.
Well, only one of them.
There was
That
also-
is the Fijian.
There was also a guy who broke down hysterical fits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is
Do we have it?
currently in a mental hospital.
All right.
I've suddenly forgotten the name of that awesome mental hospital in Dandridge, Massachusetts. You know what I'm talking about? This big state mental hospital in Dandridge, Massachusetts.
Oh, no, a real place, not something like
It's a real place, yeah. I mean, it looks like it's Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
They're like turning it into, I don't know, condos or something now. But it's this giant facility that has, a graveyard on its own grounds and is filled with the mad who've passed away. It was a huge place. It turned up into an amazing movie called Session 9.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
That place.
Yeah.
Well, now it's a going concern in 1932.
I have one question. So the mummy was found on an island in 1870 something. 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the South Pacific, right?
Yeah.
And then what 1930 something? Hundreds of Japanese sailors died to the Gorgon effect.
1919.
1919. Do we have the coordinates of that island?
Yeah, Kosrae is a known island. There's no problem finding the island of Kosrae. Kosrae is in the Micronesian chain of islands. It is not terribly far, say 400 miles from Phnom Penh. It's in that general. It's south of Saipan. It's in a known region. Now,
Is it close to that one?
No.
Okay.
Sadly, I do not have a proper map for you, but Micronesia is north of Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
South of the Philippines, kind of that general vicinity. Between New Zealand and Chile is nada. That is where the Point Nemo is down there. That is, say, the point of inaccessibility, right? The pole of
farthest
inaccessibility.
place.
So we're putting down
Yeah.
satellites.
Yeah. The only thing that's out there is like Easter Island, Galapagos Island. You know, there's not much. Maybe Christmas. Where did where did the bounty guys end up?
Oh, yeah.
I want to say Christmas Island, but I don't think that's right. But there's not much down there.
Yeah.
All right. It's a big giant pile of nothing.
And that's where this 1879 island is supposed to be?
Yeah.
So, okay.
We do have a name of Captain Charles Weatherby, captain of the freighter Arandes. I'll bring him up, but researchers were able to find an obit for him in San Francisco.
How long ago was that?
Like 15 years. There doesn't appear to be anything spectacular about him passing away at an advanced age.
And did the obituary mention where he died?
San Francisco, California.
Oh, I mean specifically if he was in a home or if he was living alone with family.
He was living at home.
Okay.
Well, he was living in
So that sounds like a death.
his son's residence.
Okay.
Seems like the mental hospital is the first thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, basically, your assignment, should you choose to accept it, and you just don't have any choice,
Who assigns it?
is to go to Boston. Well, Commander Martin Cook,
All right.
who is the head of the P4 division. Commander Cook. Let's see here. Let me just answer a quick message from Shane Ivey.
Name dropping on the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's see how it is.
How often have we done that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
Note to self: edit this out.
When has that happened?
that's never going to happen.
Edit out that really terrible
Anyways,
thing you said.
yeah, so
You know the one, the really bad one. Edit that one out. Definitely edit that one out.
Yeah.
yeah, the part where Ross goes on this whole, Aryan supremacy rant. Yeah,
I didn't get it that one.
that's the part.
We all agreed with him, though. I mean, I don't understand.
That's true. Yes, we absolutely all did. Oh dear.
And there he's crying.
And that was the end of
No.
role-playing. and well, they deserve it.
Oh.
Well, if we all come in as white supremacists, yes, we fucking deserve it.
Yeah. You're
He's going to say that I don't need to listen to this show anymore. And then he goes back to reading Lovecraft, which makes no sense. Oh, well. Anyways, your assignment is to go to Boston, track down, the current staff of the Cabot Museum, track down some of these reporters, track down the police who are involved in these incidents, find out where the mummies are, determine if they are still have that they are still intact. Convince the people who have custody of these objects that they should surrender them to the Department of the Navy as because of national security or anything else nebulous that you'd like to try and use as a sales point to get them up. We would prefer not to have to go to the Department of Justice and come up with a BS reason why we need to seize these artifacts. If you can convince them to turn them over without creating a paper trail, that's the best. Okay? If the opportunity comes up to Australia, if the objects were to disappear and then reappear in our custody and there's nothing connecting you to that incident, that's fine too. Okay, don't get caught. All right?
All right.
There's no such thing as a get-out-of-jail-free card at this point. Not for this kind of stuff. But what they're looking for is the mummies and any of the other articles that were recovered with them. Because there were, again, some articles that were recovered with the 1879 mummy, but that are not in open source descriptions, well documented. So yeah, that's the plan. Go down there, get those mummies, bring them back to Bethesda, where people who are cooler than you and probably paid more money than you will be doing some, top men. Top men will be determining whether or not this stuff has anything to do with the Gorgon incident in the South Pacific back in 1919.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Wait, we should introduce the cast.
Now it's time to
yeah.
cast away.
Us.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I'll be playing Lieutenant Commander Grant Armstrong. He's a JAG lawyer, so he's sort of the face of the team.
Jag-off.
Obligatory joke, I think. Yeah.
Obligatory jag-off joke achieved.
Gen Con was successful.
Yep.
I'm Maddie. I will be playing George Malinsky, and I'll be the wheelman for the same division.
This is Jason. I'm playing Gunnery Sergeant Robert McNern. I also work for the ONA P4 Division. I mostly do kinetic work.
All right. So this is Daniel. I am playing Lieutenant Jacob Woodbine. I am the cryptographer, and I also work for ONI P4 Division.
Hey, it's Rasmin. I'm playing John Canonzero. He is a person who is good at getting into places that necessarily other people don't want me to be in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Hey, and this is Aaron. I'll be playing Dr. Franklin, William Franklin, Lieutenant Commander, and figuring out how it killed you, when it killed you, and why it killed you.
All very important things to know after it's killed you.
Exactly.
Well,
I don't care to keep you alive.
that's not your job.
Exactly.
That is not your job. Your job is the why are you dead, not how to stop you from being dead. No. Totally different bailiwick. All right. Now, let me just see if I can sketch over here into my fabulous copy of Hollow Earth Expedition, a wonderful game, and check their equipment list for an appropriate vehicle to send you to Boston in, because sadly, Delta Green, as it currently exists, does not have a big old list of awesome 1930s vehicles. But, woohoo! Hollow Earth Expedition does.
Don't worry about it.
We need to know what car we're parking in Harvard Yard.
You will want to know. I immediately want to put you guys in a car called the Studebaker Dictator.
Do it.
Nice. Yeah.
Six.
Wow. That's amazing. They had a record gas mileage of 24 miles to gallon. No, I think we're going to go with something nice and simple and giant, like a Packard, which you can easily get 6 people into. And a cow.
Yeah.
We're just going to go with a simple Packard 120. That seems like the way to go.
No, it's good.
So that we don't have to have everybody driving around in multiple vehicles. You guys can get up to Boston either by driving up there or by taking the train, but a vehicle will be made available for you at, say, the Boston Naval Yard or whatever. You do have some gear that comes with you. Some of you have larger suitcases than others.
Okay.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Heavier suitcases than others.
I actually have a pretty decent size.
Now, as far as gear goes, this is just your initial kit out. When you guys want to have something special, something that's maybe not on the list, it's just a question of asking. I don't really think that I'm going to slow the scenario down by going, oh, geez, you can't get that kind of microscope. You can only get this kind of microscope. That sounds boring. I want you to have the microscope. I want you to get the clue. I want you to roll sand. So, welcome to Boston. One of the problems of Boston is, unlike Washington, D.C., or many other cities on the East Coast, or New York particularly, there's no, like, north, south, east, west on Boston streets. Boston streets are just fuck you.
It's old world city planning. It was, you built along the line of a hill.
Yep.
You didn't build it. We will be a city here.
I think they were imitating the French one.
There's no grids. It's all just a big plate of spaghetti that's spilled on the ground, and it's quite nasty. But my question is, where do you guys want to go first? And as far as background intel, I'm not going to slow you down by saying, well, you didn't really look that up before you left. Most things are going to be, I'm going to understand that you spent some time checking phone books and whatever.
So, just to be clear, the sort of little detail of the mission isn't specifically those mummies. Is recover everything?
Yes.
From the 1878 voyage?
Yes.
Okay, so that was all sold at auction. Lost the auction house because they would have records.
Okay. You would
Like if anything didn't end up at the Cabot Museum?
That's a good idea.
Well, you will find out that the entire lot, it was sold as a lot. Everything was turned over to the Cabot Museum.
Okay.
The mummy, besides the mummy and its, paltry vestments that it still had on, there was also found with it a metal octagonal case. That is to say, the tips are octagons. And it's a metal case between those two octagons made of a unidentified metal containing what appears to be a scroll. Written on a kind of vellum.
Is there any description of the scroll itself, or like what's on?
Not in the records of the auction house.
Yeah, that was right.
But that was turned over to the museum. There's no indication from open source public records, news stories, that this scroll was ever on display with the mummy.
Any pictures?
Not in the auction house catalog.
All right. But that's interesting because they would have pictures of it to sell it.
Maybe the case, but not the...
Remember, it's 1879.
Well, yeah.
Also, if you're trying to preserve antiques, you try to avoid exposing them.
I mean, that's fair. I was just curious because...
I think maybe because more 1879 is expensive.
Oh, sure.
So, and what's the current date?
Today's date, when you start heading up there, I think I said it was the
April
25th.
Yeah,
that's what I
2 days after the heart attack death of
I have a suggestion.
Dr. Johnson.
We can. I could pose as a historian, perhaps, and go to the museum and wanting to see the archives, and then stumble onto something like their records.
Maybe the second floor man goes with him.
Yeah,
Split on there too.
Yeah.
The joint.
I can show as the dweeby student because I'm a young man. So I can certainly appear as the academic and be like I'm doing.
You're going to actually have qualifications. You have I don't have the character sheet, but you have master's degrees in mathematics.
Yeah. But I also have very high history, so I was figuring I could easily aid that. I have a master's degree in history as well. That would be my idea. Actually, I had a question for Sigint. What do you do there?
Well, and Sigint is going to cover the skill of cryptography right now. In this day and age, you're going to have skills and that's going to be skills in radio intercept of transmissions. It's going to include things like, of course, sending burst transmissions or as close to a burst transmission as they have these days. Understanding the basics of understanding cryptography. It's not going to be the kind of things that you'd imagine for SIGINT in the 21st century.
No. That must be useful in decoding occult manuscripts. Those are often written in ciphers.
Yeah, it would be very handy.
Would it be too much to ask for like 2 IDs for Boston University, maybe?
Well, let's see. What's your character's... They're able to turn up a student ID card for the fucking Harvard.
Yeah.
It's right there. That won't be a problem. They'll be able to.
All right.
For a little college out of town nobody's ever heard of called Miskatonic. No one will ever check on that one.
So I'm doing my master's degree in something related to archiving.
Okay.
Wait, do we already know where they keep their stuff? Their permanent collection?
The permanent collection, no. You'd have to. No one's at this point. We don't know.
That's
the Office
sort of
Naval
what I want to
Intelligence
find out.
does not know where in Boston or outside of Boston the various items in the permanent collection are kept.
Okay, so I'll go with him.
Yeah, that's sort of what I want to find out too.
Yeah.
Okay,
If we find their records, we
Other
can
detail I think I left out, and I want to triple check did I tell you that there had been a, let's see here, a burglar alarm set off at the Cabot Museum after,
Yep.
4 days after the 2 guys were killed, there was also an attempt to break in. That failed.
Okay.
Set off the alarm.
Okay, this is probably an anachronistic, but we have in the UK the land registry, which is a list of who owns what land, basically.
Of course.
Anything like that in the US? Because
Absolutely.
if we need to find where the warehouse is,
Yeah,
property taxes,
yeah. But it's a matter of what's on open records too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So that
I'm
would be
going
a county
to go ahead and tell you
Sure.
that you're not going to have any trouble. It's going to burn some hours. If you go to the land records office or the property for office, it's really going to be a tax office for the city of Boston or for the state of Massachusetts. You're not going to have any trouble tracking down. It's going to burn time. Finding out who owns the Cabot Museum. You guys have an address for that place. You'll find out that it's a trust. There are, various guys whose names are on the trust. And that trust then proceeds to own other properties. It's a question of cross-referencing and finding out what else at this place, what else does it own. Now, the actual Cabot Museum is actually not a building constructed for the purpose of being a museum. It is a former private residence that has been converted into a museum.
So it's not a particularly large building.
No, it's not. The actual there are warehouses owned by that trust, and they can be you'll be able to come up with addresses of where these things are located. And it's not even complete warehouses. It's just that space is rented in other. You'll find that in some there's some warehouses, but if there's any inquiries about what stuff is there, it won't take long. And again, I don't want to burn up a lot of time making.
No, I spend my work days nose buried in property records. I don't want to spend my holiday buried in property records.
But you'll be able to find that the Cabot Museum also rents space in other warehouses rather than owning their own warehouses.
Who is in charge of the trust?
There's 2 names here. Let's see here. 2 old Boston old money blue bloods.
The Koch brothers.
Yeah.
Not that evil.
They're not that. Let's see here. Yes. Mr. Lawrence Cabot. His connection must be obvious. And a Dudley Saltonstall.
I think that's ridiculous as well. I'm British. Dudley Saltonstall.
Look, man, just blame Lovecraft and Hazel Heed. This is not my fault.
All right. right. So
Some of
Lawrence
these names I
Cabot.
filled in, that one I did.
So Lawrence Cabot and Saltstall. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Lovecraft.
You did this.
Perhaps the third trustee will be Mr. Stuffy McHuffington.
So for also with the murder victim, with Ramon, has he already been processed and turned or remitted to a funeral home?
Yes, he's already in the dirt.
Okay, so there's no way to get back to his corpse. So.
Unless
Well, there is.
We have a strong man. Just give him a shovel.
Come on, Gunny.
Well, the officers,
Sir, some shit, right?
the officers stand around. There's 3 officers while 1 enlisted guy takes.
I can't help but notice there, in fact, are 3 fucking officers.
That is
I also
exactly.
notice I outranked the other 2 enlisted, so guess what, squids? You're getting in with a hole with me.
Or
If you're a little bit up for a little bit of the grave robbing,
There's always that possibility. Now, the question is, there's also public records as far as coroner's reports, things like that.
what fun is that though?
You can go ahead and get.
Coroner's record, 1932. What the fuck?
Well, the guy who was stabbed to death, there's no what the fuck. It's super simple. He's fucking stabbed.
Yeah.
That's easy. I mean, we're all totally comfortable with his stabbing. It's like, thank goodness it was. After all the archaeologists and antiquarians that show up here being dissolved or being eaten by their own rectums, this is fantastic.
Psychology conferences in the Lovecraft mythos must be just hard drinking.
Yeah, a lot of jumping. Well, if somebody comes in the bar, everybody reaches for their gas.
Up to the liver.
What was the one you saw? Oh, I saw some shit.
Oh my god, it was a kitchen knife? Oh my god. It's like,
Oh, the sweet, sweet release of being stabbed and left to linger for a day and a half before I die of sepsis. That's the best.
no tentacles in front of me? Wow. Who thought?
The tentacles behind you have to watch out.
That's true. Okay.
Seen enough hentai to know. That's what you need to keep your eye on. I will note that the guy who speaks Japanese is laughing harder than the rest of us.
Oh no, Maddie was losing it too.
You caught me in a drunk moment, sir.
I think we've all seen hentai at this point,
There'll be
really.
more of those.
The internet exists.
Maybe we're not supposed to be here.
Oh, are we being run out?
Well,
Well, we'll find
turned up
out.
and looked rather cross. And then
He heard the
he's been
hentai
taken out to be
comment.
stabbed. I mean, talked to nicely.
All right, what's the news, sir?
Are we evicted?
No, we're not a victim.
No.
All right, thank goodness.
Okay,
He's
so
being
we have
nice.
some warehouses to chase down and...
Yeah.
No, the trick is, who knows what kind of stock system is used. I mean, it didn't say Ark of the Covenant on the side of that box. They deposited in that labyrinth. That's
You just
a
find
Minotaur's maze of.
You just watch them for a while, and when they've got a new hire, which one do they send the new guy only to?
Over by the scorched spot. Look for the box that has the scorched spot with the bones fused to the concrete floor. That's probably the box you're looking for.
So in this case, we probably could go to county and just retrieve the information from there if we needed it.
Yeah, if you want to know about the actual murder or, say, the investigation for the missing persons case, neither one of those things are going to be hard. There is a police blotter that the press is able to get a hold of.
Okay.
The thing that's different than, say, the police that you're going to get that you're not going to get in the news stories, perhaps the name of the patrol officer who took the statement.
Okay.
Maybe the name of the person who gave the missing person report. Let's see here. There is a. There is a Tabitha Moore who gave the report of her missing husband Wentworth. Dr. William Note was actually quite elderly. His wife had predeceased him. He was stabbed out front of his home. He was living as a bachelor. He did have servants, housekeeper, and maid who took care of the house for him. But he was attacked right on his front steps. Let's see here. Who's doing the most? Let's say it's going to be a question for the officers. Give me a search roll. I believe it's I think that's the roll. Search.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me. I think it's search as opposed to awareness. If you're an officer, give me a roll on that.
Or alertness? Or...
I'm not sure it's alertness.
Okay, so just search. Okay.
We have search.
Because you're digging through paperwork as opposed to.
Okay.
Or if you got a bureaucracy roll, that'll also be good.
I'll go with search and
I have a good search, but I'm not an officer.
Nope.
Okay.
On bureaucracy, that's 36 out of 57.
36 out of 40.
Okay.
Failed.
Okay. Oh, but you also got 36
Or is that another
57?
20?
Yeah, for bureaucracy.
There's a name that comes up over and over as you're digging through this stuff. You do have a Detective Sergeant Brian Keefe, K-E-E-F. Brian Keefe's name turns up in the missing persons report as somebody who responded to it. He also is the investigating officer on the murder of Dr. William Minot. He is also the investigating officer, or was the investigating officer, on the break-in and murder that took place back on the 1st. So his name comes up a number of times.
Seems the fellas to talk to.
So, let's see. Actually, what's your,
I'm actually pretty well built for a subject. I got persuaded 61.
okay. Yeah, I only really have pharmacy at this point, so if you want to feed him a Benny and hope it actually gives him something.
I love that you guys go straight to, let's drug the cop.
I'm saying that's an option. I'm saying that's a good option.
I just had to pee in
It's understood that it's an option.
We can always drug a public servant.
Persuade him to take the drug.
I'm not allowed to make a joke
You
anymore.
should drink this one.
I have to ask
G'day,
one,
here's
I have
some
to ask
drugs
one
for you.
question before we move on.
Yeah.
Who brought the fucking disturbing puppet?
That's Dad's puppet.
That's bad.
We made a puppet of that one of our.
Yeah, she made puppets of all of us last year.
Yeah.
What, wait a minute. You let people construct objects that can be used in, say, sympathetic magic rituals?
They have our control. It's in my
It's
house.
on you.
She gave them to us, so they're in
Exactly.
the houses. And,
You've kept them safe.
yeah, of course.
Glancy,
We used them as a
much.
Except for
We used it in
the
a
water
Puppet
plane
Land
video.
Yeah, we ran a game of Puppet Land using them.
Oh, yeah.
You're just asking for it. Why don't you just smear yourself with chum and go swim off the Great Barrier Reef?
I just wake up one night, it's not where it was. It's on the bed with
Oh, with an arm around you.
you, looking at you.
You know, what's her name? Anne Rice had this crazy fucking house she owned in New Orleans a while back. I think she may have dumped it. There's like 43,000 square feet. Something bananas. It used to be a school, right? It used to be like a Catholic girls' school. It has its own chapel inside.
That sounds good.
That sounds like an Anne Rice house.
Yeah. And it had a whole bunch of other weird stuff in it, like this weird cage elevator that went up, from floor 1 to floor 2, so that I guess the evil headmistress in the wheelchair can come down and go, "Yes!"
Or Dr. Frankenfurter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it had kind of that look, like Because I was thinking more like it'd be like what's her name from Carrie, ranting about their dirty pillows or something. There were a number of rooms in this house because it was at a time when Anne Rice had just stupid amounts of money. They didn't live in this house. They gave tours of it. They let families stay there. There were multiple apartments in it. There was this giant statue of Pumpkinhead in the living room.
Wow.
Which was actually made by, what's his name, Stan Winston.
Jesus.
There's also, I think, one of the aliens from Alien 2.
Jesus.
That she bought she had in there. Now that's fine. All right, I'm perfectly fine.
Go hug this Xenomorph.
Going to see there's a big screen TV and there's a pumpkin head and an alien, xenomorph. That's fine. No problem. There's a chapel in the building. That's fine too. The problem was that this same building, Anne Rice kept her creepy Victorian doll collection. And there are rooms you went into where it was just dolls up to 7-foot ceiling in this room. Every wall is just these porcelain, cracked-faced dolls with their glassy eyeballs staring down off the wall. Did you guys ever watch like Penny Dreadful? Remember the witches with all the dolls? That's what it was, all right? And it was multiple rooms. And we're going through this place looking around, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking, if one of their fucking buggy eyes just even so much as twitches my direction, I'm jumping out the French windows, and I don't care if I get impaled on the iron wrought fence out front, as long as I'm not dying in here with all these fucking dolls, so that one of my soul ends up trapped in one of them.
Do you remember it was the room of dolls in the Tommyknockers adaptation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
Bingo.
these statues with like the hotel that's themed after the what's it called?
Crown Plaza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
The train
The
hotel.
train
Yeah.
mannequins?
Yeah, Patrick showed me that. I was like, no, this is
We found one that
Oh, you know what's even worse? That if you
Yeah.
have one of the train rooms,
Approximation
they have
of
them
the
hanging off them.
Well,
You
yeah, no,
wake up and go,
Oh, Scott,
shit.
yeah, Scott knows. Like,
They move them around. They're not in the same position every year. They move them well, they move them around. I hope they move them around. I don't know for sure it's this guy.
This year there's one on one of the trains.
Yeah.
Like on the roof.
Yeah, you just wake up and go, good morning.
Well, that wasn't there last year.
Yeah, there's
But there was a convoy that went missing last year.
well, and now we have a new mannequin.
Yeah.
You know, that's how that show works.
All right.
oh, your card was declined. Come this way.
You've been chosen for a very special honor. You'll ride the rails forever and ever, Danny. So, it's no good. Anyways, back to the world of dreams.
So, bar nearest the police station that
So, there
Brian
is
Keith works at, and we find him there.
you will be able to find.
Guaranteed
which-
this guy drinks.
Well, first of all, his name sounds a little Irish, so that's right off. Let's get that racial stereotype out of the way. But yes, he probably drinks if this is his beat.
Yeah.
If the Cabot Museum is on his patrol route. Yes, you actually will be able to track down Detective Sergeant Brian Keefe. Rather than do the whole annoying Call of Cthulhu thing where you go, well, let's roll for luck and see if he's in. Oh, no, he's not. And then you're just stuck waiting forever for the clue. Let's just shoot right past that and say that if all of you want to stomp in there and flash your Department of the Navy IDs, you can do that. But how would you like to brace the good sergeant?
Well, again, I think Daniel and I will go to the Cabot Museum.
Yeah.
Him to try and get information for me to case the place. See if there's any information.
Yeah. I'm just going in as a student. So.
Yeah.
Well, the door is open. It is open to the public.
Is there like a custodian or like a head person
Well,
in charge?
You will find, yes, it won't be very hard to come across a gentleman named Dr. William Carver. Dr. Henry Carver. Got that name wrong. He's one of the staff members of the museum. He is not the curator.
Yeah.
The acting curator is Dr. William Mason.
Yes.
For the moment. If you're come looking for the curator.
Oh.
You will notice, however, let's see here. Go ahead and give me an awareness roll.
All right. Hang on. 10 days.
You may notice.
Isn't it alertness?
Yes, alertness.
Do you want to use mine?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. No, 81 out of 38.
You go in, you ask around. You're
Truly
you guys going in with him?
I am.
Go ahead and make an alertness roll.
Yep. 26 out of 60.
It is a fairly rare thing to see. There are security guards. There are guys with their little watch caps and little brass badge. And you will note that they're all carrying revolvers.
Oh,
They all have
no.
pistols hanging off their belts.
Okay, that's very unusual.
Yeah.
No.
Main front door to there's a one by there's a couple of guys by the front door. There's guys. There's a guy if you go to the administration wing. There's if you start counting, there's like 6 guys with pistols in this building.
Jesus. That's for a relatively small museum, that's a lot. And they don't have the mummy on display.
Well, if you go check the Hall of Mummies, you'll find out that no. And there is actually a notice about that. It's right up there at the front saying, the Pacific Island mummy, has been removed from display. It is now will not, no schedule has been determined as to when it will be placed back on display.
Okay. All right. I just want to check out, sort of case the place in case we need to break into it later, like what kind of alarm system it has.
Okay. You start wandering around. Go ahead and give me a roll on, let's see, what would be the appropriate skill for that. I think you've got electrical.
Yeah, electrical repair.
Go ahead and give me a roll on that, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
51 out of 53.
You find out that the windows have electric contact, alarms where there's just magnetic contact or a current, contact. You break the current, you break the connection, alarm goes off. All the windows have that. Doors have similar. There are the public areas that you're allowed to walk around in. But you also see access to what would probably be the basement furnace area. And not only does the basement furnace area have two key locks in it. There's a valve for opening the door, but there are 2 locks. They do not have handles on them at all. They're just key opened locks, and they look new. They were put in fairly recently. You can't get through that area. It just says no admittance or staff only on it. Mm-hmm. But in the public areas, the main thing you're seeing is alarms on all the windows and doors. You can see the wires. I mean, they are inside the building, but they are on the surface of the walls. They haven't been buried under plaster or anything like that. It's all stuff that was done after this place was a mansion. However, they may have been painted the same color as the wall, for instance. But because of your electrical skill roll, you'll probably be able to recognize that the wires ultimately terminate. The wires ultimately all terminate in an area that's marked offices or staff offices or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I were wanting to disable the alarms, there's no way I could do it from the outside.
No. The things could disable the alarms from the outside. If you were to kill the power for the neighborhood, if you were to take out a pole or you were to take out a transformer, I was about to say, yeah. So if the thing that turns into a car, robot, if you took out one of those robots that turns into a car, that would totally do it. But this place does not have its own generator. Okay. The power for this alarm system is from the outside.
Okay. But that area with 2 keys, that might, instead of putting in the warehouse, it might leave it in a museum, but just in that super secure area.
Yeah.
So
you're also probably seeing new additions to even the windows. Some of these windows look like they're set up with having a simple, lever that you turn, that would unlock the window. And now what they've got is someone has gone and taken dowels and put them into the closed windows, where the window would roll up. They're all pull-up windows. They put these dowels in there so that you can't raise the window. All right, you'd have to break the glass.
Okay. So you can get out in the fire, but yeah.
Yeah. Getting out would just be knocking the dowels aside and pulling it up. But from the inside, you'd have to break the window or cut the glass to be able to remove the dowels. And then if you did that, once you open the window, it's still going to set the alarms off. Okay. There's also manual alarms. You're seeing places where the guards are stationed, where there's literally a panic. There's a button to go bang, and it says fire, but all the guards are standing near them.
Yeah. Okay.
I had a question. Could I perhaps approach the curator or Dr. Carver and
yes.
Use my history or my occult skills to express my sadness that the mummy is gone, and I would like to hear maybe what they've done with it or something like that, or maybe lead him in that direction.
Got it. Use the skill as a way to create your credibility to approach the subject. Exactly. Go ahead and roll into the skill.
Okay, I will do history then.
I mean, when I saw this mummy, it just froze me in my tracks.
All right, I sadly don't get it.
Okay.
78 out of 69.
Give me a, let's see here, either roll under, I guess it would be awareness or human intelligence. Human.
Okay, I'll do alertness.
Okay. What out of what?
41 out of 38. So
okay.
Great.
He says something to the effect of, he says that you should not be sad that it is no longer displayed. It's for the best that it has been removed from the museum.
I just heard it was such a beautiful feast, though, and there were some artifacts related to it that I'm working on as a side thing.
He looks to you and says, "You're working on artifacts related."
Well, I'm studying mummies and like a more geographical study of them, and where you can see different cultures have different mummies.
Mm-hmm. And he says, he says there are plenty of examples still available in the Hall of Mummies. I'm sure I can answer any questions about those particular specimen.
All right. But he's not welcoming about why it is gone.
Mm-mm.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, that's something we know.
Subject changes.
All right. Well, I'll oblige.
Give me another awareness roll.
All right. Sure. Go on. Yeah, 2 out of 38.
2?
Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
He's carrying a pistol.
Oh. Well then.
When you're talking to him, you know, under his jacket, down in here, at some point he moves in such a way that you see that he's got this brown leather holster.
All right.
On his belt, between the belt and his. I guess this is still the age when men are wearing.
This is Carver.
3-piece suits. He has a waistcoat,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got this. He's got a pistol in there, some sort of revolver.
All right. Well, I'll thank him, and I'll just back away because I'm just the student, and he's the.
Well, he's definitely an older gentleman. He's in his early 60s.
Yeah, but I'm showing deference to him.
All right.
Academic deference, I'm saying, and I'll keep talking, give him a time to look around some more.
Okay. You're able to assess the security in the public areas. The biggest thing to worry about here is, give me another awareness roll. One more.
Me? Or both of us?
Just you.
Okay. Yes. Like that.
Okay. You smell it. At some point you start, and you find it. Dog piss.
They have dogs coming at night.
Yeah, he says, you smell it, you see a spot where, the stain on the floor has been discolored by this. But,
some serious security.
They have dog. They must have a dog in here, or dogs plural, at night.
So not only do we have the alarms on all the doors and windows, and the double locked door, but we'd have dogs and probably at least one security man.
Yeah.
Well, they had one security man when the guy got killed.
Yeah. So probably 2. Yeah.
And we are not military. Well, I don't have any military knowledge, but I can't see if they're former police or former military or what they.
Well,
I don't know where you get such people.
I'll tell you where you get. Well, it's 1932. It's not hard to find a Great War vet. You can't swing a. It's one of the things that shocks me about the time period between the wars. Well, it's worse in Europe. Everybody was in it. Yeah. Everybody who's alive in 1919 was fucking in it. It's just astounding. It's one of the things I loved about Babylon Berlin. It wasn't a question of were you in the war. It's where were you in the war. Every German man served.
So it's easy to find someone who knows how to use a weapon.
At least someone who's been trained in how to use a weapon at some point in their life. Whether they are, ex-police, like retired police officers, or whether they are, which is plenty of this, is retired police officers, and sometimes even moonlighting police officers. If you were just looking to get Great War veterans, that wouldn't be hard either. I am suddenly reminded of folks at Pagan Publishing who, when they decided to go attack, I don't know if it was the Penhew Foundation or the Creepy Estate that the guy who runs the Penhew Foundation has.
Masks.
And masks. They just literally put an ad in the Times of London saying, Great War veterans needed. And just got all these bums and hobos and guys who were just, cannon fodder and thought, yes, we're totally going to attack the cultists with an army of washed up, traumatized Great War veterans.
Oh my God.
Like that guy
How
from...
successful was that plan?
It was not successful, and I believe it resulted in the classic moment as they're driving away at full speed. And there's that bridge. That bridge that turns sideways so you can't get off the island. And they're trying to get to the bridge as it's starting to turn, and whatever has been summoned is after them, and one of the player who's driving says, I checked the rearview mirror. No, wait, I don't. And Dennis Detweiler goes, too late. Roll for sand. He blows the sand roll. It's like, that bridge is still turned sideways? You can make it. You can fucking make it. I'm gonna make it. Giant pile of player characters, truck, nose diving into the water. I'm not sure it was a TPK, but it wasn't good. It didn't do anyone any favors.
Close.
They had already left all the Great War veterans behind to whatever hideous fate the cultists had for them. We support veterans. Bye.
Okay, so the museum's clearly had enough.
Yeah, I would say that's not a terrible assessment. That after all this, the museum has
All his
finally
colleagues
reached a
have
point.
been murdered and disappeared. So no.
Yeah, they've apparently they're not asleep at the switch. At least if they're still dancing and going, and now I'm going to put a bag on my head and walk home in the dark. Nobody's doing that apparently anymore.
Do you have to pay to get in the museum?
There's some tiny fee at the front door.
Okay, so, but they clearly are well funded.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that when you get there, the fee is surprisingly high. And when asked why, if there's any question about that, it's like, well, the fee's gone up recently. It might be there to discourage people from coming in. And when you guys are walking around, you're one of the very few people who are in here.
Well, okay. I'll find him eventually, and we'll leave.
All right. What was our next? Somebody going to the police department?
Yeah.
All right. Who's going to the police department?
I'll follow Armstrong. So,
right.
Since I would
what are we doing with our two grunts over here? Well, a grunt and a squid.
Yeah. We can have them along for backup too. So just to.
Well, in case you decide to have a shootout in the Boston Police Department.
I'm not shootout, but looking.
No, we need them for the museum.
Yeah, I thought we were going to dig up a corpse.
Oh,
Yep.
We can go if you want to dig up.
Well,
a
the
corpse,
other thing is to find that O'Keefe, the detective.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're...
That's
what we're discussing.
There'll be no digging up the corpse until the sun goes down. That is traditional when it comes to resurrection work. To be done after the sun has set.
Let's see if this guy's liver is working.
No.
All right, well, you find Detective O'Keefe. He's in his 40s, maybe. Somewhere between 40 and 60. Police work has that tendency to age a person. Certain police work, say, depending on who the author of the story you're in, tends to age you quicker than others.
God, Phillips and Vice looks great.
You were able to get in and see him. Do you guys identify yourselves as, we're from the Navy? What do you tell this
Yes,
guy?
actually, my thinking for this is we're investigating this and the possibility that insert foreign power here might be.
Yes, there's a certain connection we can't elaborate on because of national security, but we need your records. So, federal government.
Well, okay, that still has a certain... doesn't quite have the pull that it has post 9/11. This is...
Yeah, I mean...
Fair cop. So
This is... we are in the middle of the Depression. It is 1932. In fact, the thing that's probably in the news right now is... if it's April 33, it's that class traitor... Franklin Delano Roosevelt has just become president. Herbert Hoover is out, and the Democrats have roared in. And there's a lot of worry that means that they were going to have more Klan, because that was an issue for the Democrats back in 1932. Or now it's like, great, we have the best of both worlds. We get the Klan and communism, because clearly all this New Deal stuff is just...
socialism run rampant.
Yes, it is. We're all going to end up in gulags before it's over.
So I'm thinking the more productive approach might be not to come in, and saying, like, yes, we're ONI, but rather than being like, hey, show us the paperwork, here's other paperwork. Can I buy you a drink?
Well,
and tell me about things.
If you want to talk to him about these cases, he's like, well, he will definitely sort of opt for the, let's not talk here.
Yes, absolutely.
Keith will leave, and he will also not go to the bars that are near.
Not the cop bar.
The police
Next
station.
second.
There are a couple of watering holes outside the precinct house.
Yeah.
Where
You guys still using the microphone?
Oh, absolutely not.
No, you're good. So.
You can haul that away. But there's going to be watering holes right outside the police.
Yeah. The
precinct house.
thing with the cop bar is before the cops, so we'll go a block back.
Yeah. He leads off to some place that is not necessarily the same kind of watering hole. But obviously, drinks are on the federal government. You guys get to buy the beer here. And it's going to be... Actually, Prohibition's not over for another 2 years. But let's just say it's not hard to get a drink in Boston, all right? Particularly when you're with a cop, all right? So you guys find yourselves in technically a speakeasy, and he says, he wants to know he's just like, what exactly is the? I mean, I know. How much can you tell me about the federal government's interest in the events at the Cabot Museum?
We have reason to believe that museums are being used as a source for smuggling, relics, and a source for laundering foreign money. So,
let's see how that goes over. He doesn't look like he believes. He's like, really, the Cabot Museum is smuggling what? Liquor, he says, in his beer. I mean, the foreign money coming through the Cabot. He's just like, sorry, but I don't see that that's very likely. And besides, wouldn't that be a Treasury issue and not a Department of the Navy issue?
I can possibly. The question is, could I possibly use a medicine score in this case to scare him into revealing information?
As in what? As in disease?
Okay.
Like, is there a disease?
That's full of disease.
Well, specifically, not trying to get the information, but using enough relative arguments from the case that we're working on without giving it away, saying that we need to get in here or we're facing something equivalent to the 1912 Spanish influenza
We'll
pandemic.
just be at the bar,
So
shots after
You
shots
guys should
in
just
the
be.
corner.
Well, we're just gonna sit here while the officers
we're like,
set fire to the whole operation here.
This is great. This is going well, guys.
You guys are doing fine. If you want to try and scare him with by just saying that the whole paralysis thing is a disease,
Yeah, that was my thought.
that's not totally bananas, but
My mate hurts fucked.
go ahead. Try,
Okay,
choose
so
that.
all right,
Use medicine.
all right. Is there any negative since it's not a persuade check? Or
Yes.
okay.
What is it? What's the number?
All right, I'll try.
What out of what?
Alrighty.
Roll alone. That's what you should.
Oh, that was 72 on the dot, which is my actual score. So, but I'm sure it's lower.
He says, yeah, he says like there's no. Well, what happened to that Fijian and what happened to that Burmese fella might have been the result of disease. That doesn't explain all the foreigners trying to break into the place.
Son, have you heard of people trying to get rare bacteria? Do you want to know shitting yourself to death?
Nobody's shit themselves to death.
Yet.
In fact, that's the really problematic part. Nobody who I don't know, petrified actually died. What can you tell me about that? What's with the petrification?
Is this when you make the first friendly in Delta Green's history?
Give me in this case. All right, so I'll go.
You're the one who's got better
persuade. Yes.
You're the one with the diplomat skills.
Yes.
Negotiate. Want of him in the bar, like anyway.
He's not good at this.
Yeah.
So
I fix people up.
Thank you for trying.
Thank you.
So, you mentioned foreigners.
Yes.
So we've got a Burmese fellow, we've got a Fijian, a Hawaiian. I think Hawaii's technically foreign at this point.
Well, it's American territory.
All right.
So he's not someone you would deport.
No.
He's someone you would prosecute. Same thing with the Filipino.
Okay.
Although maybe they transport people back to the territories and they do bad things. I don't know. Those guys, by the way, keep going. So yeah, there are foreigners involved. So what's the Navy's interest in these foreigners? What's the Navy's interest in these deaths?
We believe that obviously can't explain too much. We believe that the reason there has been such a concerted and enthusiastic attempt at liberating some of the Cabot Museum's content is because they contain highly valuable, highly sensitive material, and that foreign agents are attempting to acquire. So, anything connected to the cases?
Well, he can tell you that the two guys that he has the information on are, let's see, the Hawaiian, who I would normally be able to immediately give you a name for, but unfortunately, I was a little rushed getting over here for the scenario, so I'll just have to say that the Hawaiian is, Fred Kamehameha, and he's actually known to the police, and he's known to the territorial authorities in Hawaii. The Sinhalese fellow who tried to pick the lock is known to the British authorities. And the government of India, or whatever it is, it's not the Raj, but it's the department, the India department, I think is what they call it. He's known to, not the Scotland Yard, because that's domestic stuff, but he's known to the India department as far as being someone who's been involved with criminal activities. The theme that connects these two assholes is that their criminal activities are strangely related to obscure religious practices. They've traded in antiquities, artifacts. They were involved with, both of them were involved with the procuring of dangerous and illegal drugs, which they had attempted in various ways to write off as religious materials, looking for an exception for the use of the peyote, like you get in an American Indian ceremony. But there are also disappearances that are related to them. People from their circle that have gone missing, but no one has ever been able to pin anything on these guys in particular. They are fairly unsavory, which is probably why they're still in prison. They weren't sentenced to a lot of time, but they both got, a year, 18 months for the vandalism, the attempted burglary, that sort of stuff. They didn't get huge sentences, but they're currently up in whatever passes for Boston's or Massachusetts' Sing Sing at the time. There's.
Do you like anyone in the case of Dr. Minute?
No. He was obviously killed by a stranger. He was obviously killed by somebody he didn't know. He was attacked from behind, which suggests to me that he was attacked by someone who used stealth to sneak up on him rather than approaching him openly to stab him. So no, we don't like anyone for it at the moment. But all of these foreigners only just started turning up in the area once these news stories hit regional and national papers about this exhibit at the Cabot. And they're definitely related, and there seems to be no doubt that these guys want access to that mummy. But at this point, the security arrangements at the museum are so extravagant that I can't imagine anyone being able to break into it again. So maybe it's just a matter of them. The death of Dr. Minot might have been just not much more than an act of petty vengeance, since their main goal was stifled. Same thing with the disappearance of the Cabot Museum's taxidermist. If indeed that's connected, right now we don't have any evidence to suggest that it's connected. He doesn't have any reason to disappear. His marriage is not, was not falling apart. His finances are in order. He doesn't have any reason to drop out because of bad debts or anything like that. But and again, Dr. Johnson, the coroner's report is that he suffered a heart attack. We're not seeing any evidence of foul play, but the Burmese fellow who dropped dead in front of the display cabinet also appeared to have suffered from a heart attack. I was there on the scene when those bodies were first discovered, and some people suggest that he looked like he had died of some sort of like he had died of fright. Nobody dies of fright, all right, but he certainly looked. He was open-eyed when he died, and had died in a certain amount, and had died in some intense pain and discomfort. It certainly looked like, based on things like the position of his hands and the way they were closed, that he may have suffered some sort of cardiac incident. And that's what the coroner's report said as well. But 2 heart attacks orbiting around the same building just is 2 heart attacks too many. We have, he says, we've offered to provide security for the staff, but apparently they're making their own arrangements. We're continuing with our inquiries, but it's there's only so many times you can rough up someone who's Filipino or Madagascar and say, what do you know about this? It's not getting us anywhere. The crowds that used to attend the museum had disappeared since the mummy was taken out of circulation. I think the Cabot people just want to think that's going to be the end of it. We're not going to have to hear from this again as long as we don't bring that thing back out. They were very reticent to let us have any contact with their money after the death of the two burglars. There were some who suggested that, there were some who suggested that there might have been a connection between the death of the Fijian and the money and the sort of petrified condition that the corpse was found in. But there doesn't appear to be, not only does there not appear to be any mechanism for creating a body like that. Not a poison, not a toxin. There are other conditions to the body that have not been released to the public. Now, what I need to know from you, before I tell you anything else, is the public in danger from that body? Is there something about, do you know anything that would make this body or these foreigners a threat to public safety?
So I have a motivation of keeping the unnatural from being weaponized, quote, ... by foreign powers.
Yes.
Well, in this case, and I also want to protect humanity, so we can, if we want to compare right now,
Just so that there's some context for what I'm saying.
Nope. Thanks.
Detective Sergeant, you heard of Pete Mummy?
I think they're pulling the peak mummies out of
Yeah.
UK this time.
Yeah, those fellas up in Ireland and Northern England and parts of Scotland. Those things have been preserved thousands of years, remarkably well. We can tell what they ate. We can tell what they died of. We can tell if they died of sickness. And if you can tell if something died of sickness, that means there's something in it that made it sick. And that means you can find a way to extract that and bottle it and grow it and ship it out to Germany or Japan or the Chinese.
Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union.
That's scaring everybody right now.
and not to sound alarmist, but if we can actually take a look at this and figure out a way they could utilize that, or to better yet counteract it, the better the public safety is.
Mm-hmm. I believe you got some persuade roll there.
39 over 61.
Yeah.
Well, he
So
says,
I'm not saying that there
he
is,
says
but just in case.
the Fijian was, after the autopsy, was cremated. Now, we haven't seen any signs of problem with the people who performed that autopsy, but Dr. Minot was an observer at the coroner's office. He was there for that autopsy. He was there and observed the most disturbing characteristic of the Fijians' autopsy, and that was that despite being reduced to a kind of almost like dried fish,
desiccated.
Yeah, this desiccation, almost like I guess beef jerky, sort of dried beef, characteristic of his muscles, of his face, of his chest, arms, legs. When the autopsy was performed, his extremities didn't have any blood in them. All the capillaries had squeezed up and pushed all the blood into the center of his body, into his torso. He still had blood in his organs. And his brain appeared to be oxygenated and not actually putrefying, despite the fact that the autopsy was performed, 12 hours later. Now, it's 12 hours later in a Boston winter. so maybe. But his insides were also not frozen. When they cracked him open, steam came out of the interior. All right? That was warm blood there.
I'm not okay with this.
So once we saw that, the decision was ultimately made that the body would be destroyed and sterilized in the best way possible. But there's more to it than that. We were put under pressure from the police commissioner to turn over an object from the Burmese guy, the one who did not sort of mummify, the one who apparently died of a heart attack. The Burmese man had an object in his possession, a small metal cylinder, silvery, with an 8-sided figure at each end, and a cap that slid off. And inside of that was a scroll written on vellum with some sort of Egyptian hieroglyphics on it.
What did the commissioner make you take it?
We were told to turn it over to the Cabot Museum, as they were the ones best able to make heads or tails of it. So far, almost 4 months later, over 4 months later, nothing has come out of the Cabot Museum as far as telling us what this thing is or isn't. But there was a very strange incident during the initial examination of the bodies. There were plenty of strange things. I mean, the guard had been killed using a silk cord with a Indian coin wrapped up in the base of it. Now, I have found out later that is a
Thuggee
practice. The mummy, the one that was on display, I had been in there for the earlier incidences. I'd been there and seen the display. The mummy's position was always crouching, all right? Ass on the ground, right next to its heels, right? Knees up, hands up, covering its face. You could see the mouth below, right? That night, the hands were down over the mouth, and the eyes were exposed, and they were open, and they were wet. Over the course of the night, they closed. But before they closed, Dr. Johnson examined those eyes and claimed that he went into hysterics, saying that he could see something in the iris, see something in the lens. Some of the other people who were there, like Dr. Minot and Mr. Moore, also looked, but they said they couldn't see anything distinct, but there was some sort of flaw or damage in the retina of both eyes of the mummified corpse. I'm not talking about the Fijian. I'm talking about the older
mummy.
I've also heard on the back side that these images disappeared from the iris, which eventually became perfectly normal before the eyes closed again. That's a rumor that I've picked up from some of the people who work there as guards. Again, we're talking about people who are retired Boston police in some cases, and so they were happy to share information with me. But when Dr. Johnson looked into the eyes of that mummy, he he did go into hysterics, but he also had sort of a fit that almost was like a stroke. In that he tried to speak, but his jaw wouldn't work. He spoke through clenched teeth. His fingers and hands closed up into these little fists. And one of their staff, I don't remember if it was Minot or Moore, picked up the case, that metal case that was from the Burmese, and pushed it up against Johnson's hands until his stroke or his fit passed. We took possession of it because it's part of the deceased's personal items, but the commissioner is, golfs and drinks with Cabot and Saltonstall, so or his boss does. So at some point we were told to give them back up because they would they would be able to make a proper assessment of them. The whole thing sounds a lot like those stories that the what was it, Martinet and Reynolds were publishing the year before, using those books like the Black Book, the Von Jones Black Book, to as jumping off points for what they were talking about. Now, go ahead and give me a roll under. I guess it's going to be against your intelligence.
Times 5.
Both of you.
Type on the sheet. It should be 70%, not 7%.
Okay. Oh, did I mistype?
Yes.
13. 18 out of 75.
That's good.
13 out of 70.
13 out of 70?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would be, well, it's not a crit anymore. I keep forgetting that we moved on to double numbers, which makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Oh my God, let me get this straight. I have 5% in this skill. Yes. So anytime I succeed, it's a critical success. What? No, that's not how that works.
Very well.
Yeah.
It's like blackjack.
I can only fail or succeed spectacularly.
Yep.
That's not how skills work.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, since you have almost no chance of succeeding, of course, when you do it.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Well, that's not spectacular. Granted. 5% is only 1 out of 20. That's not that terrible. I've seen worse odds.
What's the name of the game? Make yourself memorable.
You always win that.
Oh,
This is true.
I'll be under here.
Shark punching for the win.
I'll be under here if you need me.
But anyways, let's see, where was I? You guys know that the Occult Review article by DeMartini and some of the stuff by Churchward. Some of that was about was trying to come up with sort of explain that there's a legend or a myth behind every myth, and particularly the Martini thing out of New Orleans, that the Gorgon myth, that the Medusa myth, has an origin and an actual effect, whether that is a effect by preternatural means or through a science that we do not yet understand, and that this land of Mu, this lost continent, was until it was sunk beneath the waves, was ruled by a kind of protection racket where they had a Gorgon. They had a Gorgon that existed trapped in a kind of labyrinth at the center of their civilization. A fort, a prison, something like that, something to keep it from getting out. But that the priests who guarded the labyrinth basically did not guard it in a kind of, we're going to lay down our lives to keep this thing from getting out. More of a, we're going to totally pick which one of you guys gets sacrificed to appease the problem in the labyrinth, and so it'll never come out. All right. And they had their rituals and their sacrifices and their juju, according to Martinet, that would make sure that the petrifying demon would never emerge from the labyrinth and never turn the city to stone and destroy all the residents. And as they were the only guys who knew that, read those rituals and those sacrifices, those cantrips, they suddenly became the most important people in town. And as such, they were the kind of guys who did not get put on trial for things like rape, murder, theft, whatever, because what are you going to do? Put us in prison? The boogaboo, the juju monster will come down out of the prison and roast you all with its Medusa-like petrification power. I guess you're just going to have to let this, these 814 charges of child cannibalism just go right on by. Well, I throw that out as an extreme example, but the idea is that they were above the law, above secular power, could not be tried, could not be accused, and basically had the ability of life and death over the citizenry, being able to pick out. We've checked with the augurs and the signs, and we're absolutely positive that Bob here, who I owe money to, totally needs to be sacrificed this month.
Sorry.
So it was that sort of setup. Yeah. And that there is as part of this myth cycle, there is a story of an audacious, and this is all the stuff that just showed up in the papers, that there's a story, part of that myth cycle involves a story of an audacious priest who attempted to overthrow the demon that haunted the city, and to overthrow the demon, he had a scroll prepared that would protect him from the demon's petrifying powers, and that he would be able to have access to the prison, and therein find ways to lock this demon away forever. But that somehow the priests of this religion, realizing that if the demon was defeated, their meal ticket was gone, sabotaged the effort somehow. So that instead of ending the demon's reign, this man went up there and, being the first person in thousands of years to actually see what they were afraid of in that huge edifice or fortress up there, just never returned. And became sort of a warning to everyone. See, I told you not to go muck with it. We're just lucky that it didn't come down here and eat the rest of us. Fortunately, me and the rest of the guys totally sacrificed the right people, last week, and that kept everybody safe. So, you're welcome.
What's with these 4 Kobo corpses? Don't mind that.
So, that is sort of the myth cycle that some of this New Orleans guy, DeMartini, tapped into. And he brought, he in his interview, in his article and with subsequent interviews that he was willing to give to the press, said that he was getting his information from a book by a German occultist named Friedrich von Junst, who wrote a book called Unspeakable Cults. It's got another name in German, like in 1849.
The translation is unpronounceable cults.
Yeah, it is. The proper pronunciation is actually unpronounceable cults. But that's because Lovecraft fiction has a bad relationship to the German language. It's not is not the only flub as far as bad German goes in Lovecraft. Necronomicon is not very good either as far as Latin, but yeah. The book was written in the 19th century. It was supposedly an expose this one guy was supposedly an investigator, investigated all these weird religions and old cults and exposed all their secrets, which might account for why they murdered him about a year after the book, or somebody murdered him a year after the book.
He just fell on a dagger. It's fine.
Repeatedly.
A dagger in the face, in the shape of claws that pulled out his throat in a locked room in his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a specialized dagger. You have to wait 3 weeks for it.
I don't know how many times people have been cleaning their bear traps and then
Yeah. And then it flew up the chimney.
yeah.
It was never seen again.
It's a common.
There's a lot of energy in the spring in that bear trap. Just snap, boom, psh, right out of the chimney. It's
Germans know how to build a good bear trap.
Perhaps it was stolen away by an orangutan out of a Poe story. Regardless, I seem to have damaged one of the players. Anyways,
That would be a great twist in a Delta Green game. It's just like they're building up to tentacles and horror. It's just an orangutan.
It's just an orangutan with a straight razor. Again! This is the third orangutan! Sorry, I'm suddenly reminded of... Was it Baby Boom Orangutan? That was it. That was one of the superheroes from The Tick, was Baby Boom Orangutan. Where it was a guy in an orangutan suit with a bandolier of baby dolls, which he would throw, and they would come back. So they were boom orangutans. Plus he was a baby boomer. Sort of a middle-aged guy.
Okay, so we need to
long list of
Yeah.
what's like friendly policy at this time in history? Because it sounds like O'Keefe knows enough
No,
that
he
in a
knows
regular
enough.
PC game might go to a friendly.
There wouldn't be friendlies at this point.
Yeah.
But there would be like, well, you're a reliable contact.
We're still
He spills a lot of information about it.
Look, it's the depression. We'll just
Worry, I have a job for you soon.
Classic human stuff. We'll just pay you a bit if you tell us.
It's a stipend
Yeah.
from your government. It's your Uncle Sam just saying thank you. It's not a bribe. But some of the stuff I'm throwing at you is like, well, you read that, but it wasn't quite as important as now you're getting the.
But connecting the dots together.
And natural, and it's like he's aware of it.
But he thinks that if that story is true, then if that stupid mummy is the guy who went up the hill and got zapped because he had the wrong scroll, then the scroll that the Cabot Museum had originally didn't work. But the one that they brought with them was either the original one or a copy that they brought. Why they wanted to defrost this guy is beyond me, because it looks like he killed them for it. If they came to thaw him out from his thousands of years of slumber, their reward was to die horribly at his hands. I mean, the one guy ended up as a mummy, the other guy ended up with his ticker stopped like somebody hit a clock with a hammer. Where that other mummy is, I don't know. And again, I don't know what possible interest these guys could have with the mummy, but it seems like they tried to get the mummy out of the museum multiple times. When that failed, moving a whole mummy, they hit on the bright idea of, well, we'll just bring the scroll to the museum. And then that worked out great for them. The question is where's the scroll now?
Well, scrolls in
Where's the
the
other mummy?
museum. Mummies potentially in possession.
Two dangerous sides of the equation here.
Well, it seems like the Cabot Museum has everything.
Yeah,
Do we
which
need
might
to
mean that if you just put them on the shelf too close to each other, they probably would be grouped together.
Well, they're probably the first to realize
He's
that.
melting now.
Yeah.
Well, as far as them melting him out, I had suggested that we bring the scroll back and apply it to the Fijian. I mean, it was too late. He was dead. I mean, if he had been alive during the autopsy, we killed him during the autopsy. We suggested bringing the scroll back just to see if it would have an effect, but they said the response we got was that it was a ridiculous idea and that we're not going to do that.
And best case scenario, if it does work, it sounds like there's a window where, because like, okay, you expose the scroll to the mummy begins to thaw, and then something the mummy does kills you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not meta again because I know the story. Something about the mummy kills you, which means there is at least a window when the mummy is dangerous.
Yeah.
Even if, like, end result is Grandma comes back.
Yeah.
There is a time when Grandma will kill you.
Well, it might just be that, how good a mood is he going to be in
Yeah.
if he's been left? These are the guys who fucked him over. If these are actually the descendants, the people who screwed him over, how good a mood is he going to be when he wakes up? I mean, why wouldn't revenge be the absolute first thing? The weird thing is it didn't finish. I mean, it didn't finish with... Yeah, the mummy moved. Its hands moved, weirdly, by the time we saw it that last night. But why didn't it just pick up the scroll, thaw out, and leave?
I don't think the mummy... out of character again. It's not that the mummy killed him, there's something that's dangerous about the mummy.
Yeah. Although it's seeing the possibility of we're dealing with dealing with gaining a mystical artifact that could help us, freeze dries people until the point where we want to interrogate them.
You're already looking to weaponize. Yeah, this is how we get Majestic 12.
Well,
do you want Majestic 12?
Hold on. Even though that's the possibility, it seems like basically maybe the museum should just burn to the ground and take it with it.
Oh, the players are already at the arson stage of the investigation.
Yeah, like best case scenario, burn the mummy.
Aaron's
scroll in case.
sprinting while we're on a marathon.
Just like a flip cup in the corner.
Okay, well, the first question really is
Back over to these guys, a little drunk, being like, so what do you know about them? No.
Well, how do you know about demolition?
Burning a mummy?
Do you want me to punch it? I can do that.
Okay, so
We could drag it behind a car. We just tear ass in the streets of Boston.
wow.
You ready to talk yet?
The mummy attached to the balance bumper, bouncing him over cobblestone streets until he's worn down to a bag of guts.
Oh, God.
The real question is what the motives of the Cabot Museum and the foundation.
What do they gain from it?
There's if in the best case scenario they are good patriotic citizens that if we told them we're from the government and we're here to help, that they would give us the mummy because we could even give them some information like this has happened before. That's why we're worried about it. We need to figure this out. So our American citizens are safe from this threat. So please give us the mummy.
Well,
So that is if they are actually if their motive is to protect this mummy from evildoers and to somehow try and contain this menace, they might actually just give us the mummy if we tell them, yeah, this has happened in other places. We need to figure this shit out. Give us the mummy.
I don't think they'll give us the mummy, even if it's a good way to do it. I think.
But if we give them that information,
I think what we do is we come to them
I
and
think
say,
that will start bad things if we give them that information.
I think what we do is we come to them and say, someone's going to attack the mummy. Or try to steal it.
Us and let our gunny go
Would
after
you
them?
like us to supplement your security?
Ooh.
Oh, that's yeah.
And we are the inside.
That's still 6 on.
Okay, so
But that's an ongoing thing. Like in that case, it's like, okay, you're being attacked. Why don't we move this mummy to a military base?
or what about
Just get them to move it at all. We hit the convoy and
yeah? What about
Well, that's Plan C.
That might be somebody else's plan, too. Just saying, this place is Fort Knox.
Yeah.
You don't knock over Fort Knox, you knock over the armored car.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is taking on later, so we're discussing this.
Yeah.
But Carver is carrying a pistol. How about we put him under surveillance and see where he goes? And if he goes somewhere interesting, we go and hit that place. I feel like we have some people who...
We could break in. I could break into his house and rifle
the
through
house
his papers.
seems more like a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Where
like-
the scroll might be being kept, possibly, or
I'm just saying that we looked at the place. There were men with guns, and you said something about...
A double locked door in the basement.
Yes.
which
And-
only uses 2 specific keys.
yeah, okay.
And guard dogs at night.
Yes, I'm thinking there's 2 people who have the lock, the keys, and Carver is one of those people, or the curator. But was Carver the curator or the?
He was an assistant, but he is not the acting curator. The acting curator was named William Mason.
All right.
Okay, well, we've also got a missing staff member, so potentially one key is in the wild.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe Mason is the person we need to follow.
It could not even be them. It could be the Foundation owners.
Yeah, because Mason could be a red herring in this situation.
Salt and Sweat or whatever.
Well, Salt and Stall. I'm just thinking that.
Salt and Sweat.
Look,
Yeah,
his name's
sure.
Dudley. He's got to go. That's all there is to it.
Okay, so here's my thought. The curators might, perhaps, or he knows this. He knows about this.
Yes, no
We
chance.
follow him. We put our men on. See where he goes. And if it turns out to be interesting, well, then we take hold of him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Maddie, Jason, here's where you come in.
I'm
help
just
too.
saying that
I'm ready to commit felonies.
We're in an impasse right now, and we
We're
need to
in
do
impasse, these two
something.
have much to do, so I definitely say break into his house.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't bring him on a second story man to do nothing.
Alright, so shall I invite the curator to dinner, and then you have a rummage through his
I feel like that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Just dump everything that looks scribbly outside. I'll take it.
Anything
anything
scribbly,
bound
alright?
in human flesh.
Yeah.
Anything that, like, you... Let's get something. Get this.
You've got about the anthropodermic bibliography.
Yeah, what? But okay, if we're not assuming
Oh, yes. We found
So what is the motive of the Cabot
Quite a
Family?
few
Why are they
involvements.
messing with this?
quite a few.
If so many people have been killed at this point, like, why are they doing this?
Yeah, can I make an occult roll on the mummies? Can I make a cold roll on the mummies? Like,
go ahead and make an occult roll. What are you trying to determine?
I'm just... So this moving... This is the journalist who wrote for the Boston Pillar, right? Is he still around?
You guys contact the Boston Pillar. He does not work there anymore. He quit.
Do they have a last address?
Basically, his the editor said that no, I don't have a forwarding address. He to the best of my knowledge, he left the city. He was unhappy with the editorial relationship.
But back to the mummies for a second. I was thinking that I'm looking for a link between the mummies and the. I mean,
And
the
the-
Gorgon makes the mummies, as far as I understand it.
Which is not attached to any other mummy mythology.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something else.
Yeah, mummies are usually things people do
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mummies is
it's a
universally grave preparation.
Yeah, all right.
Sometimes they're accidental.
Yeah. So this is something else.
But petrification, a basilisk, cockatrice,
Yeah.
Gorgons,
So this is something else.
is almost universally stone.
Okay. So I'm going to chance it unnatural 5%.
Well, go ahead and make your roll. See what you come up with.
All right, natural 5%. See if we get it.
One.
No.
Which one?
42.
42?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vampires.
All right. Again, well, I'll tell you what. You know enough to know that petrification, unnatural petrification, is not associated with mummy mythology. Although there's a certain amount of Ba-Ka put it together, for the afterlife from the Egyptian mummies.
Yeah.
Most mummies aren't like that. Most mummies are just dead. They're just eternal shrines to the person who's
It's a
died.
funeral practice.
Yeah, and only the Egyptians that I am aware of have the thing where your body is necessary to reunite with your spirit to do a whole, afterlife thing and get past.
Pass through the gates
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Exactly. So the idea of animated mummy comes from that and is, of course, filtered through. Shit, it's 1932. Karloff's done his thing.
Yeah.
You guys were probably in the cinema and saw the whole thing where he went for a walk.
Yeah, all right.
Poor old Boris doesn't spend a lot of time in the sort of classic mummy outfit in that movie. He goes very quickly to a kind of Imhotep, thing. Very early on in it. I personally like that makeup even better with the crazy, weird, papyrus skin. And I'd like to show you a tomb. Out of the goodness of my Egyptian heart, come this way, meddling foreigners.
Like a history lesson.
But yeah, I feel it. Does unnatural give me anything else?
Unnatural, you can roll on that.
But that's what just roll. Yeah, not
Yeah.
make it.
Okay.
Okay, so
And I'll tell you what your unnatural knowledge right now is. Your unnatural knowledge is that there is, you know that this stuff is true as far as the Navy is concerned. You may have even seen some of the evidence. You've also seen the evidence of Innsmouth.
Seen some specimens.
So you've seen those kind of specimens. You know that there are preternatural creatures. I mean, the problem with Innsmouth is like, well, it's the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's just another branch of evolution. See, explained away. Everyone's safe. Go back to having a normal day. It doesn't speak to any huger cosmological nightmares that you don't want to be thinking about. Both of them are connected to sort of sunken civilizations, but the other aspect of Kosrae was that the Japanese were conducting digs on the island in some archaeological sites that appeared to be some sort of old civilization of which some structures were still on non-Madal. Sorry, not non-Madal. Non-Madal's in Phnom Penh. I meant to say Kosrae. But Kosrae is a real island. It really does have lesser structures than non-Madal. You know, guys know non-Madal is, right? Non-Madal is
the city on the lake.
Yeah, it's this crazy series of islands that have been built up using this, basalt stone. And when they say Cyclopean construction, they literally mean rocks fitted together with no masonry and almost no space between the stones. And it was built by some civilization that had their shit together on the island of Phnom Penh, and then I don't know what, ran out of food, pulled to Easter Island, pulled Anasazi, and crashed and burned. And they're super weird and super old and have a kind of rough, nasty mare, kind of like Malta, like some of those structures on Malta.
Yeah.
Well, Kosrae has some of that as well, from some other civilization. Nobody's sure if there's a connection, but Kosrae was an island that Kosrae almost got wiped out by gonorrhea because sailors used to stop it at all time because it had a water source. Unlike a lot of the islands in the South Pacific, there was tons of water on this island, and you could re-water your ships, and you could trade iron tools for some nookie. And the result was that like some crazy portion of the local population were sterile because of all the syphilis and gonorrhea that had been dropped off by the sailors, and the island almost went extinct in real life. And one reason it got brought back is because some very puritanical missionaries showed up to deliver a kind of Christianity that was about keeping your pants on. And while the Tahitians are still walking around bare-breasted and in grass skirts, the Kosraeans are all in like cotton shirts and pants and long dresses and things in the 1930s, and have even today, have a society where they're like, they don't laugh at fart jokes. They're really steadfast, and but there's still people on that island, and they still have these weird megalithic sites on it. And there was the Japanese when they were digging around in one, and so as far as a connection to a sunken civilization, the Kosrae incident is related. Now the problem was, no one ever found a scroll like it's being described.
All right.
And while the Americans still had some Japanese they initially picked up in a lifeboat that were frozen to the oars, they...
Okay, so what does our mummy kill people but there's their mummies don't?
Well, the mummy that kills is like old. It's from that civilization that's outside.
Yeah.
So,
Weird scroll.
and obviously the eyes are moist. It's still alive.
Ours are still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's alive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And
It was also, if it's the guy, it was directly exposed to the problem.
yeah.
It's got nothing filtering it.
Yeah. And somehow it's able to transmit that Gorgon effect. Because remember, someone said someone looked at the eyes and saw that there was something in the that they could see in the retina. So some replica or copy of it was left there.
passes
So,
on,
like,
so-
yeah.
Last thing about Dead Man's
But I mean, at a certain point, there's a Xerox effect. I imagine a copy of a copy of a
Yeah.
copy of a copy is not as effective as the
So
original.
we're thinking maybe the Gorgon effect that happened in 1919 was
Like it only
exposed to a secondary
it only lasts so many generations away from the source.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's throw this out again because you have had the entire Gorgon file. The vast majority of the Japanese sailors who died on the island of Kosrae, and there's mostly Japanese sailors.
Yeah.
It's a naval expedition. Most of them died, were found in this condition, sitting in a field in front of a sheet of sail tarp that had been hung up to project a movie onto it.
Okay.
No.
So an archaeologist recorded a source or a near copy of the source
okay.
and
Tested
Then
it.
they
showed it to everyone.
Yeah, so our guys working with the primary, they were working with the secondary.
So yeah.
So
But someone survived long enough to make a film and was able to display it.
Yeah.
So either they knew not to look at it themselves and wanted to see what it would do to other people,
must have gone through a few editors putting
Yeah.
that reel together.
or maybe they had it. Yeah, so the worst case scenario is the Japanese do have a copy of the source because the guy, the film editor, the filmmaker, left the island with that because they didn't recover a film.
It doesn't say it in the file you were given.
Okay. So
I feel like we should recover Dr. Mason, who's the curator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the present.
Yes.
you
so
mean
that I
like
know-
kidnap him or just like go through his shit?
Brace him, break
Yeah.
in.
I mean, I'm not in charge. I'm just thinking that my motivation is that I should keep the secret, and it's better that we put him somewhere we can't tell anything. Because if
Wait.
he knows something,
Well, kidnapping.
Let's get leverage on him first. Maybe let's research him.
Yeah.
And figure out, one, does he have a family member he gives a shit about in the Navy?
Okay.
Hey, that's a great leverage.
who has
We're going to
accounting?
pitch cousin Jimmy over the overboard.
Yeah.
We're
gonna-
Clean the anchor.
Does anyone have accounting?
Yeah.
Would it be the plan?
Account.
Counting?
Yeah. Look up
I
his
do not.
finances and see where he's weak. Who's he paying to?
Yeah,
Well,
just
the good news is that we've been paying income tax since 1916, so he's got taxes on file.
I mean, it's
yeah. Let's just dig up dirt on him and see what.
I mean,
what
you will find it pretty easily if you look at it.
And if we want to take him, we do have, our us like we have
I think we should
people,
just
the leg
start
men
taking
and the
him until
wheels.
we find
and
some
stuff.
dirt on him as we go along.
I mean, it's just easier to make him want to help us because if not,
Okay,
we'll ruin his
to
life.
continue then.
Well, and part of it is gathering information, kidnapping, blackmail.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I have a gun to your head. Tell
All right.
us your
Well,
secrets.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'll tail him. Actually, the three of us can tail him after work.
Yeah.
We can take turns doing that and just see if he does anything. We do that for a day or two.
Yeah.
Well,
and then while you three, book nerds can look up dirt on him and see if you find anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then let's go and do this. You guys, give me an awareness roll, please. Every last one of you.
Okay.
That is not the book
sorry.
nerds. The book nerds do not get an awareness roll. Just these guys. Just the grunts. The grunts get an awareness roll.
Yep. 9.
Yeah, 19.
16.
Under 63.
All right. Well,
We're
you guys are
eagle-eyed.
like Johnny on the spot. Jesus. All right. Here's what happens. You guys end up. You see the doctor leave the house one night in a hurry on foot. Leaves the house, goes down to. You see him walking along. Do you follow on foot or do you follow in the car? Or do you have some guys on foot? And
I'll be on foot.
I'll take the car with lights off, like really far back, just like menacingly.
I would have told you
What's your
that.
stealth?
It is
7.
winter in. Well, actually, no, it's spring now in Boston.
I
So
would have told you that he's armed. Yeah,
Yeah,
or at least his co-worker is armed.
You go with
watch
the
out.
wheel.
Yeah.
I'll go with these.
The wheelman, and I'll go on foot.
here's something else. Actually, let me back this up. What you would have noticed is that. Let's see here. He would have left with his vehicle. Go ahead and give me a drive vehicle roll.
26 out of 82.
Okay. You tail him in such a way that he does not apparently show any sign that he is being followed. He ends up going to the homes of Lawrence Cabot. And while you're sitting there outside the home, you see a couple of other people turn up to the house. And since you would have had files on everybody with little photographs, give me an awareness roll.
Yep.
39.
9.
Okay.
45.
Then you guys see that William Mason, the acting curator, Harrison Wells was one of the other curators, and good old Dudley Saltonstall.
Haltenstall.
You knew it was him.
all show up at Lawrence Cabot's
That's
house.
how we know he's not human. No human has a name like Dudley Saltonstall.
Now it's about it's after dark. It's like 9 o'clock at night. At some point, you see Carver, who may be the youngest one of the bunch, leave the house carrying a valise case. And he goes out and starts taking off. Now, who's following him on foot?
I'll follow him on foot.
You roll your stealth rolls, please.
Okay. Yep. 38 out of 77.
Okay, you're quiet.
Damn.
Then you see him go down and go to hang out by a public phone booth until the phone rings and he picks it up.
Okay. Make a note of the phone because I assume we can pull up records later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in there for a while, for just a few seconds, really. I mean, maybe 30. Then he gets out and he begins to. He goes around. Eventually, goes and gets on a public streetcar. It's going to be one of the last ones running tonight. Go ahead and make me a drive roll. Do you get picked up in the car, or do you want to get on the streetcar with him?
I'll get on the streetcar with him.
Okay.
59 out of 82.
Okay. Give me a stealth roll as well. It's modified because it's a
2.
All right, you are the knight.
I'm not even sure if he knows you're in the cab with him.
Well, it's still not impale, but because of our new rules, but it's good.
Pretty good.
It's fine. Give me do you have any humans?
That's a good question. I have base human.
Go ahead and roll it.
Nope.
Okay. Anyways,
He's a person.
he sits there with both hands on his valise case and looks around. He is looking around. You rolled a note too. So he apparently doesn't pick up that you could be part of the problem. He gets off.
I have my handgun, by the way, obviously.
Well, of course. Anything else is back in the trunk of the...
Yeah, the trench gun, I imagine, is not concealable.
No, it's a big 12-gauge pump-action
They're all in the
shotgun.
boot. It's fine.
With an awesome bayonet, because that's what you want on a shotgun, is the ability to stab somebody.
Well,
With that close range, you
shoot them
can't
off, right?
miss. You won't stab.
And we're back. We found a hallway where we're able to talk. Yeah, attempt a game. It's not the worst place we've gamed at. I mean,
I see one of our co-conspirators returning.
No, there was no Starbucks. So. Fuck. Sorry. Like half a mile away from the next Starbucks. No. This guy.
there might be the bar might sell you soda or something.
Yeah, don't drink soda stuff. But I still have my nice t-shirt.
I mean, that's caffeine. Have some sugar stuff.
All right, so Ross, if you move over here
Yeah.
and maybe move the device up here.
Yeah.
Scott is my wife, Renee.
Oh,
She also plays on RPPR. She's known for her wonderful southern accents.
I don't know if they're wonderful, but they're something.
They're entertaining. They're good.
That's all I'm going for is entertaining.
All right.
what games are you playing on RPPR?
What games have we played?
Tales from the Loop.
Yeah, get started.
You were in Trail of
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, Armored Trials.
Yep.
That was your first one.
I think we played some Bubble Shoe.
Microscope.
Played.
Microscope, yeah.
Tons of Delta Green one shots.
Yep.
Yeah, a bunch of Delta Green one shots, yeah.
That Tokyo one.
And she was a sock puppet in our puppet land.
Yes,
thing.
I was a
Well,
sock puppet.
it's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll meet her back.
Quit whoring around, you dirty Sheila, and sit down. And now I'm part of.
Really
and
fast.
now I'm part of the Me Too movement. That's the end of my career. Oops.
Wait till my tongue hears of this.
All right.
Oh, I need dice.
So, all right, you guys are. You come a little closer.
Yeah.
Because now we're.
So we can all hear.
Yeah. All right, so you guys are heading off. Decided to follow this car, or follow this guy walking around. I said last time I left us, I believe what I said was he stopped, got off the trolley, and got off and went to another phone booth. Checked his watch. Waits around. And the phone rings. He answers it. And then he starts hoofing it off in another direction. In fact, he starts hoofing his way east. At some point, you guys realize that he is heading towards Boston's very own atmospheric and totally above board waterfront.
Hooray. Yeah. We don't want him to go to the waterfront. Well, I mean, we do, but we don't want him to do anything.
What's down there?
Well, that's where the... Well, that's
Best case scenario, he's going to jump on a boat. Worst case scenario, somebody's coming out of that harbor.
Yeah.
So, it's on the grunts. You guys have to make all the heavy decisions while the officers are off playing nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Do you stop him now, or do you just keep watching him?
Keep following him.
Yeah, let's keep following him.
Keep following him.
Okay.
I do go to the trunk, though.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing my full load out.
All right.
I don't have time since I'm on the bus.
Well, it won't take long for
That's
them
fine. If it's bad, duck.
It's not going to take long to get that stuff out of the trunk and throw it in the back seat so that when the time comes, it can be accessed. He walks. Do you follow him on foot?
I'm following on foot, yeah.
All right. And the plan is that the car will stay like a corner, a block away, and you'll just keep waving him up.
Yep.
All right. Give me another stealth roll.
Yeah, 74 out of 77.
All right. You go down to you keep going down further. He eventually crosses into some kind of not warehousing area, but it's kind of the transition area between unloading things on the docks, having the dock workers move it on trucks that'll then distribute it to various warehouses, things like that. So it's this fairly open area. There are no trains moving around in here right now, but there are rail lines that run through it for loading up cargo trains, things like that. There's big wide roads that are in here that have been recently built to accommodate large freight trucks, things like that. But it's a big area. It's a marsh. I guess you'd call it a marshalling yard.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm looking for here. Anyways, he goes out and he sort of wanders out into this marshalling yard. There are lights of the city all over the place. There's a certain amount of reflection of light off the heavy clouds over the city, so everything has kind of a weird glow.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of lights in it. You can still make him out as a silhouette. He goes down there and go ahead and make me a stealth roll. What?
One.
Well, that would be better if it was old school system, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
You sit there watching him. At some point, from another side of the marshalling yard, this sort of it'd be a lot like a. It's not quite a panel. It's not a panel truck. It's like a. I would have described it almost like a Woody. It's a fairly narrow, long vehicle with a cargo section. Doesn't have any windows in it, but there's two front doors and then a pair of back doors that open like this. The car drives across the marshalling yard, gets up close to him with its lights off, I should note. Parks maybe 20 yards away from him. Guy gets out of the front passenger seat, fedora, trench coat, walks out to him, and the two of them begin talking.
Okay. Can I hear them?
Make a listen.
Alertness.
Alertness.
51 out of 64.
Not really.
Okay.
You can tell he's talking fast.
Okay.
At some point, he opens up the valise case and holds it up, and the other guy gets out and turns on a flashlight to look in. You know they're alertness.
Yeah, 44 out of 64.
All right.
Critical.
The first thing what you notice is that the flashlight has got a red lens on it. So he looks around inside the bag, and then nods and takes the bag from him. And he turns around, the stranger signals, and you can hear the sound of the back doors of the van opening up. And two guys come out, and they're walking a third guy between them. And they sort of take him around, and as they're bringing him forward, the guy who has the valise now is backing away. He backs towards the vehicle. About the time they pass each other, they drop the one guy to the ground and go very quickly to the vehicle. With that high awareness roll, I'm just going to say, you can see that the two guys who dropped the fall on the ground have pistols.
Okay.
And they all get back in this vehicle and start to drive off. Now, as soon as they're doing that, let's see which one of these guys it was. It wasn't Mason. Carver. Carver runs up and starts seeing to the guy who's been dropped on the ground. And the vehicle starts to drive away. What do you do?
All right, so Carver's walking away from it? Or sorry?
Carver goes to the guy who's dropped on the ground.
Yeah.
On the van. Goes up to see to him and is trying to help him up.
Okay. Did I get the license plate of that truck?
Awareness roll.
All right. No, that failed, actually.
What'd you roll?
69 out of 64.
Okay. You do not see whether or not it has a license plate.
Yeah.
Or an obscured license plate.
Yeah.
Or a license plate that belongs to that car.
All right.
The truck drive towards us or away from us?
Let's see here. Let's roll randomly. Your direction, number 1. No, it is not driving towards you. It is going off at about a 90-degree angle from where your vehicle's at.
Well, I'm going to check up. The guy that Carver's checking on, can I tell anything about who this person is?
Go ahead and make an awareness roll.
Nope.
Okay, you're not sure who it is.
Yep. I'm going to get closer to get a better look.
Okay. Go ahead and roll again.
All right. 22.
22 is a crit. Well, it's our... it appears to be one of our missing people. Let's see here. It is the taxidermist, Mr. Wentworth Moore.
Okay.
The one with the wife. Those reporters are missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in his bare shirt sleeves and bare feet.
Okay.
No jacket, no tie.
Okay.
Pants, shirt pulled out over his pants.
The guys that dropped him off, the guys that were clearly holding him hostage or whatever,
Yeah.
were they... Could I tell if they were Fijian or Hawaiian or anything like that?
I'll tell you what, make me one awareness roll.
Yeah, 41.
They're really short.
Okay.
I don't mean 4 foot. I mean they're like 5'2", 5'3",
Yeah.
5'4".
So, all right. Okay. This would be a good time to get to confront Carver because he's got his hands full.
Yep.
So I will approach him.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, you okay there? Fred looks kind of drunk or something.
He's helping him. He's like, no, my friend's fine. He's just tied a little too much on, a little too much imbibed tonight, and thank you. And he starts trying to help him up, and you're getting close enough.
Yeah.
It's not going to take an awareness roll. See, if this guy's, Wentworth Moore's eyes are swollen shut. I mean, he's got blood on his shirt, shirt's torn. He's been beaten up.
Taxidermy's a tough business, huh?
What? Who are you?
Look, let's go have a chat with my friends.
I've moved up. When I saw him go, I moved up as well.
Right, you've probably moved up to where you're at the corner that you can see around.
Yeah.
You can see this marshalling yard.
Yeah.
Or rather, you've moved up because you're in the passenger seat. Because you can't shoot the BAR in the driver's seat. I mean, you can. It's just messy.
Yeah.
Man, that is just disturbing. No, but I am not at all comfortable with the idea that you created these things. I'm gonna.
This one for Caleb, this one for Ross.
No. No, that's just an invitation to sympathetic magic. That's just a bad. Oh, you do that stuff, just not with these guys. All right. God damn. It's still looking at me, isn't it? Yeah, maybe. Jesus. Anyways, all right, back to something relaxing. But
the Navy has some questions.
He's confused. The who? The Navy? The what? Do you actually badge him, as it were?
Yeah.
It's not a badge, but it's an ID card. He says, we don't need your help. It's all taken care of now. We just need to...
It wasn't a question. We're going to have a nice little talk.
All right, do you wave your car forward?
Yeah.
All right, well, your giant, not Duesenberg, somebody forgot the name of the... Packard, yes, the Packard rolls up. You stick them in the car.
Yeah.
I will say right off the bat that, Wentworth Moore doesn't look great at all. He's been worked over pretty thoroughly, and a lot of damage to his face. He's not missing any fingers, anything too baroque, but it's clear that somebody just used his head as a fast bag for a while. In fact, some of his injuries look old. Like he's been re-injured. Anyways, it's not hard to get them in the car. I mean, what's he going to do with the wounded guy? Now they're in the back seat of the car. You drive off. Where do you take him to?
Oh, we're going to have a chat with our commanding officer.
Okay.
Which one?
Who was the...
technically, he's the commanding officer.
Yeah, there's a couple of LTs, but I think I was named.
Yeah, the guy who's good at talking to people.
I was playing the guy good at
So, what do you do with him on the way over? Do you punch him up or work him over on the way? Soften him up. You make him form a naked pyramid like they did it.
No, it's just kind of...
That totally worked. Did it? No, that's right. It didn't work. I forgot.
Handcuffs or something?
What?
We do have handcuffs. Everybody's got to say.
We got handcuffs. I'll put him in handcuffs.
All right, they look dejected.
Take his weapon if he has one.
He doesn't.
Okay. How much is he?
Don't put him in the back seat while he's got a revolver. Just it's tough to turn around the front seat with a BAR.
I've got a 1911 too, so I'm sure I'm covered with that one.
Just don't hit a bump. It's going to turn into fucking Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
How are we going to get rid of this guy? Our car is drenched in blood.
Just kind of be an ass and be like, so what's going right for a taxidermist?
You shot the plot in the face.
It would be the first time.
Well, he tries to, on the way, he tries to do some explaining, which mostly have to do with Wentworth being kidnapped, and we had to trade them for the scroll.
Oh, you gave the scroll up.
We gave a scroll to them.
You gave him the bad one?
I thought that would be best. We all talked about it. We thought it would be best if we gave them.
Yeah, you think they're not going to know?
I don't know. I mean, they'd have to have somebody to test it on. And we destroyed the only other mummy.
Can we get the rehydration scroll?
What?
Yeah, you think this is the only time this has happened in the world? How do you think we know about it?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you really kind of messed up there, didn't you, Doc?
I think basically everyone on the museum staff needs to come in and have a tour.
Yeah, you might want to, we kind of need to talk, hash this out.
What you might want to do is go to a phone booth, call the officers, have them all go to the house of Cabot, Lawrence Cabot, where everyone's waiting to hear back from this guy how it went.
That's going to freak them out.
Yeah.
Send a guy out to get some takeout taxidermist.
In front of the entrance and can't get out in the cars. Just like walk in and he carries a brownie.
Yeah, so we will contact the rest of our party.
So like we be academic, right? They would be intimidated inside of guns.
One presumes you would not even have to bring the BAR. That just stone-faced gentlemen might be enough to make them.
I'm just saying, if there's like knives to come out, I may want like.
If you haven't listened to the Armitage Files, I have a thing with the BAR. I'll bring it.
Clearly, all right, you're happy. What you're saying is you're happy.
I'm very happy.
Last time we got into a firefight in the basement, and I wanted like a shotgun, and I wanted pistols.
Well, a pistol is what you use to fight your way to a long arm.
Yep.
That's the primary use. And if you have to, you just use it to break contact. You run away terribly fast.
I want something.
Or improving morale and so on.
A pistol?
Also, yes.
The officers will rock up on Cabot House. Leave the orders for stay outside for 20-30 minutes with Carver. We want to drop that bomb. Come in and be like, hey, how's it going? Whoa.
Probably shock and awe.
Yeah. And then
What about the living mummies?
Well, living mummies. And then we bring in we know you.
The two guns have shotguns and pistols.
Just wait outside.
Same here in 19.
It's not going to go like Double Vision. Did you see the movie Double Vision? It's a Taiwanese movie, and it has this great moment where they realize. You seen it?
I know, shocking.
Where they realize that a temple in China has been dismantled. The Taoist temple has been dismantled and then rebuilt on the 70th floor of this office building. So it's the cultists have actually moved the temple into this office building. When the cops go up to raid the place, they all show up with guns, we're here with a warrant and everything. And the cultists just attack the cops barehanded, maybe a few knives. And it's this horrible, horrible fight in this film where we've got guns, but we're all squeezed in this close to each other, so shooting all the cultists isn't really an option. And it's this horrible fight where, if you brought long arms, it would have been even worse. But the cultist police fight from the movie Double Vision, I'll bet somebody has put that on YouTube.
All right.
And you can just look it up. It's
there. I promise.
I'm just saying.
It's awful.
I'm some scared people with long arms. Just ready. I'm just saying.
So, all right, you guys. The officer's going to go in first, and then you guys are going to bring in Cabot on the count of what? 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. How much time do you want? 20? 10? All right.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to do when you go knock on the door? Because you're met. Are you going to knock on the door, or are you just going to kick the door in? How are you going to get into the Lawrence Cabot's house?
I feel like we should.
Well, it's a house rather than a estate.
Yeah, it's a brownstone.
So it is a door. You can just walk up to it and knock on the door.
There's a front gate, a front garden. It's a home inside Beacon Hill, Boston. So it's really not a brownstone. It's separate. It's got a yard, but it's not an estate with rolling hills or something like that. It's just it's not quite, but it's close to being like a zero-lot house, but, built in the 19th century. It's not, there's not orchards around it. There's a front yard, there's narrow side yards, there's probably some backyard. Back alley for the trash, things like that. You don't put your trash out front. 32. It goes out back in an alley where the hoi polloi pick it up. But yeah, there's a front walkway. It's well lit. The street's well lit because it's Beacon Hill. There's lights everywhere.
I'm knocking on the door. It's well lit. I've been to walk out.
It's late at night. You get a actually get one of our staff from the Cabot Museum. Wells, Dr. Wells opens the door. A servant does not open the door, but Dr. Wells opens the door. But there's a chain still on the door. So it says, it's very late. Who are you, sir?
Yeah, Dr. Wells, isn't it?
Yes.
My name is Armstrong. I'm here on behalf of the U.S. government. Foot in the door. I know there's a chamber just as much as I can.
I'm sorry. Perhaps we could speak at my office tomorrow?
I'm afraid this is a matter of urgency, sir. You're going to have to let me in.
Go ahead and roll persuade, see if that's enough to get him to open the door. You're going to have to let me in.
That's it. Transparent dice aren't great, but that's a 54 out of 61.
He opens the door. He accedes to authority. And he might say something like, can you show me identification?
Identification?
When you do, he opens the door. The three of you stomp in. Hello.
Don't bite my shoes.
Perhaps, is this, what, who, where, how, what? He has a lot of questions.
Look, just a quick look around. Who else is about the house? Is there like a sitting room would usually be like straight off from the entrance hall?
Yeah, you're going to see that there's some sort of what do you call a parlor or sitting room there up front. What you'll find is a whole bunch of cigarette and cigar smoke in that room, and a bunch of other guys standing around in there, including the man of the house, Mr. Cabot, Saltonstall, and Mason. Those guys are all sort of in that room with drinks in their hands and cigarettes, and there's an ashtray filled with cigarettes and stubbed out.
What's the burning the midnight oil?
I'm sorry, sir. This is my name is Lawrence Cabot. This is my home. He's like, well. He says that like, Wells, what are you doing these people? Who are these people? And Wells says they're with the government, sir. What government? The national government as opposed to the state government.
Mm-hmm. We won't take up much of your time.
Listen, you spend a great deal of time and effort hardening your museum against these nerd-wells that seem to be besieging you.
We had a number of ugly incidents there, obviously. We've just taken the proper steps to make sure that the
proper steps
the main museum is secure.
As this is going on, I would just walk past him and walk around and just watching an exit door maybe.
Okay. There are side doors in this place. Yeah. There's also a back door.
I meant the large doors you could open.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're thinking about inside the building, not outside.
But the gentleman, I would just stand
there is a big drawing room door you pull aside, split down the middle, rolls into the wall. There's another back door that probably goes back in towards the kitchen.
I'll just close that and latch on it or something.
All right, so you're all in the same room together.
Yeah. Just to make sure.
All right.
Tell me, Mr. Cabot.
None of these guys look like they're going to jump face first through a window, but all right.
Tell me, Mr. Cabot. Mr. Cabot, Dr. Cabot.
Mr. Cabot.
What do you understand about the type of people that have been harassing you?
Well, they've been some sort of foreign fanatics of some sort.
But you've had no direct contact with them?
No, we haven't.
No one in this room has?
No. We've just read the police reports, and yes, and
okay, and we've timed it so that knock. Are you sure about that, Mr. Cabot?
Because
yes, we're sure about that.
Well, because we have some interesting findings that might be able to do for you.
So I walk him in.
I'm sorry.
So,
Yes.
here's our two. as the chief maintenance
Well,
person.
you bring these two guys in. They sit Wentworth Moore down in a chair so that he can, contemplate the number of teeth he has left. And there is a moment where they sort of, Wells is very much like, "Oh my God, sir, are you okay?" And the other two guys like, Dudley just sits down and drinks, and Cabot just, if anything, tries to look stiffer and stand up straighter, and doesn't say anything. It's just like, and
I'll lay on my cards out here. We know you've been in contact with channeled funds and resources to a criminal organisation. Just to inform you all, it is a criminal offence to deceive law enforcement in the course of an investigation. It is.
They tried. We're not pursuing law enforcement. We had to get Wentworth back.
Punishable up to 5 years in federal jail.
But
thank God they don't. Well, let's see if they don't have a law.
You gentlemen are very stressed and have had a hard time of it.
94, nope. And 76. Nope. They're like, "Oh dear God!" He's like, "Well, I don't think I have anything to say. I'm not saying anything else," says Cabot, until I speak to an attorney. And meanwhile, Wells and
involved. We have a pretty good obstruction and conspiracy case right now, but I'm inclined to be lenient because, not meaning any disrespect, in this lovely house, you are not the big fish we are after. What is best for every gentleman's reputation in this room is if you come with us to a discreet location, tell us everything you know, your names won't be in the papers, but it is very important that you tell us everything you know.
Alright, where are you taking? Boston Naval Yard?
Sure.
Alright, you can do that. There is some dispute about this. Lawrence Cabot basically says, "I'm not talking until I talk to an attorney." But the three guys from the actual museum, Mason, Wells, and Carver, are like, "We didn't, we wanted to call the cops from the start, and this asshole over here, he's the one who said that we couldn't survive the scandal after the other, and he's like, shut your mouth, that's not working. He just keeps going on. But they'll go, Kevin's like, "I'm not leaving, and you'll have to place me under arrest, and if I do, I want my phone call." And Dudley just wants to leave. I'm just going to go because I really wasn't involved in this.
Sit
but
down.
the other guys want to, they want to talk. In fact, Wentworth Moore is like, "I want to get those bastards. I took my teeth, whatever." Also his left.
This is good.
So if you want to remove them from this place, you can. You can interrogate them right here. Which one do you want to do?
Here they're grouped together. It's a place they're comfortable with. That's not ideal interrogation. You want them separated. You want them uncomfortable.
Roll me under. All right. Well, if you want to take them out and take them to the naval yard, that's fine. You really have no powers of arrest, so you really can't take.
That's why I'm not going to phrase this as you're under arrest. It's like it's best if you just tell us what you know.
But
Yeah.
if Dudley can leave on his own and scurry out to find his car. If you take the other four with you, you can take them to the naval yard. Cabot refused to leave. He's just not doing it. He's like, "Fine, I'm calling my attorney." In fact, he goes and gets a phone and starts calling his attorney. Do the rest of you guys just pull these guys out?
Yeah.
All right.
Wheelman, I want you to tell Dudley, because I don't trust him not to try and give us the slip. Wheelman.
You want to tail Dudley and see what he
Yes,
does?
because if he's slipping out, it sounds like he's trying to give us the slip.
Give me a roll on your drive skill.
18 out of 82.
All right. They're going to go back to the naval yard, so you know where to meet them up. His initial thing is to drive a little wobbly, but nevertheless home without leaving his, car paint on any other cars. But he goes home to what the address that's listed in his file. It's his residence. Parks the car up on the curb and runs in the house and closes the door and then closes all the blinds. That's what you see him do. How long do you want to stay out and stick around and watch him?
Probably an hour and a half.
All right. The rest of you guys.
Be tied up with
I actually had a thing as well.
Yes.
Is there a library?
Yeah, sure. There's this typical gentleman's library.
Can I make like an occult? See if there's
Absolutely making a search roll.
a search roll.
Search roll.
Oh, that's not too good. Oh,
Well, what's your search at?
I've got 44.
No.
93.
Nope. I can help, so.
Go ahead. If you want to search,
19 under 44.
all right,
66, I see nothing.
all right, 19 out of what?
44.
And
6.
out of
76.
all right, you guys have to work quick because Cabot's complaining and calling his attorney. At some point, he's going to get an actual legal opinion about your powers of arrest and detention. So,
I explicitly didn't arrest anyone.
yeah, I know, but there was that threat and there were some charges that were talked about. And he
I
says,
just said that obstruction of justice is a criminal offence.
And I insinuated jail time, so,
so,
That's you.
you look into this place, nothing is jumping out. There's nothing in Cabot's place that indicates a Pacific origin, Southeast origin, nothing related to any of the materials you've previously picked up. There's there's no other there's nothing else in here that appears to be. There's no copies of von Junst hanging around the shelves. The library is filled with genuine leather-bound editions, first editions of whatever. They appear to be. The books appear to be there because they match the sofa, and that would be about it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
look.
A wealthy fellow buys
I mean,
his
you
library
touch
to match.
you really touch the books and they're dusty all the time. Well, they're not dusty. They'd be clean, but because they'd have a maid come and clean them.
There's no broken spine.
Yeah. Well, there's a lovely bar inside a globe you can open up. And apart from that,
I made. No.
all right,
Make yourself a gym.
you guys get out of there before his attorney shows up. Back in the Naval Yard, it's not going to be hard to find an empty office, empty offices, put people in. Fast forward through your interrogation. What information are you looking for?
What do they know about the mummy? What have they done with the mummy? Who are the people that that took Wentworth?
They don't know who took Wentworth, except that they're Japanese. They're all Japanese. They do know that the initial plan was to get Wentworth to give them enough inside information about the security system that they could just get rid of him. But once they learned about the security system, they're like, well, we're not getting in there. It's going to have to come out. Everybody that you've got here, these three guys, Wentworth, Minot, Dr. Minot, the two trustees. Dr. Minot was the doctor who was stabbed in the back and died. Dr. Reynolds, the previous custodian who's dead or just now of a heart attack. They were all there when they autopsied the older mummy, and it had the exact same conditions as the Fijian who'd been paralyzed. Warm, oxygenated organs with blood supply, a warm, oxygenated brain with a blood supply.
Oxygenated means it's still.
Yeah. Well, it had blood flowing through it that was, that had red in them from the oxygen attached to the red blood cells. But they weren't sure what to do with it, except they, after some quick discussion, they thought the attempt to bring it along. Maybe we should use what if we use the scroll, like they used to prevent Dr. Reynolds from being paralyzed. They said, well, the last person who tried that died. Maybe it doesn't want to be unfrozen. Maybe it just wants to die. So we had that conversation in front of the stiff, and it didn't do anything. So we used a surgical tool to damage the brain until and then it appeared the the action of the heart stopped. It did have a slow action. And we then proceeded to, or the taxi on this went with Moore and Renault proceeded to dismantle it into transportable pieces, and they took it to a furnace at the medical college for medical waste, amputations, things like that, cadavers, and burned it.
So the original mummy is gone.
Gone.
Okay.
They burned it.
And there were 2 scrolls.
Yeah.
They've given one away.
Yes.
Where's the second?
It's in Dr. Reynolds' safe. None of us know the combination. Because it was the one that was worth something, we locked it in the safe. The one that was worthless, we left out as bait in case anyone actually got in.
Reynolds is the latest stuff.
Latest, he was the one who died of a heart attack.
Yeah, all right.
So we left it out, but we didn't. We didn't realize we'd have to trade it back. But it was the only one available, so we gave him that one. We couldn't give him the roll. Not that they apparently knew the difference. It's back in the.
Is it in the double locker?
No, it's in the offices of. It's in Reynolds' office in the.
I can crack safes.
I have a question as well. What is the 2 keys on the
That's just everyone. They're just 2 locks. Everyone has 2 keys on the ring. What's down there is there's the furnace for the building, which means there's a coal chute access. It's just there's a weak spot in the basement getting in through the coal chute. So I mean, yeah, it's padlocked from the inside, but it can still be dismantled. So we added extra locks to the door.
If you had a furnace in the building, why did you take it to the medical college?
Because we didn't want the smell filling the building of burnt mummy. Okay, we thought it might be better to burn it.
Smell of burnt mummy.
Who has
money for medicine? Huh?
Who has a high human intelligence score?
69. Nice.
Yeah. I kind of want like someone to roll on that. And I'm not sure I buy it.
60 on. Yeah, just 60.
What are you trying to shake him out? What story sounds fishy to you?
It doesn't sound like it's more than that. It has to be more.
The basement?
Yeah.
Sadly, no. It is just.
It's the weak spot.
It's just there was a weak spot that they wanted to make sure that no one who got into the basement could get into the rest of the house.
I would suggest that we break into the safe.
All right.
We have access to the museum stuff. We just say you're going to let us into the safe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I can crack the safe.
All right.
You do have love for me, right?
That serves, huh?
Yeah, I literally can do safe.
All right.
Everyone piles in vehicles. Everybody going, or you'll just take one person? Who's going?
Everyone's going.
Yeah, this is the full.
Has the wheelman filled it back?
Do you wait till the wheelman returns? I should hope.
Yeah.
Otherwise it gets boring.
Dudley acting suspiciously thinking he might be
All right.
leveraged by the church.
Can we get the program? Can we get the Black Chambers to have some people watch these going on?
Well, you can get at the Boston Navy Yard. You'd find some shore patrol guys who would watch them. But it's like, are these people under arrest? No, we just want you to stand outside the door and look mean, but you're not actually authorized to stop them.
It's a mob town. You can find someone willing to do a shakedown.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what you'd be doing with some shore patrol goons. Is just to have them stand around outside the
Go
door.
and wake up some Marines and have them stand
Now
there.
the trick is getting past the guards at the museum. You don't have somebody from the museum.
All right. Well, I'll take one person from the museum to let us in.
Which one? The acting curator?
Yes.
All right. We'll Lieutenant William Mason will go with you. He's a little older. He's like in his early 70s, 72. There's a part of him that it's sort of like relieved that somebody else is here to take custody of this.
Yeah.
And that it's like, well, we never brought it up we never told anyone else because we didn't think anyone would believe this. I mean, if we said there's a dangerous mummy and a magic scroll, who do you tell about that? We didn't know that, our tax dollars were at work. Who are we supposed to talk to about this? We thought we just had to cover it up as best we could and, hope that, with the mummy destroyed, that those weirdos would stop trying to get into the museum,
Do you know the tax code for mummies? No.
So, anyways, you guys go to the museum. You find basically 2 guards in there with a guard dog. These guys take the guard dog. Mason will talk you through the front door, and they're like, okay. And they're just like, these people are with me. He's like, you sure, sir? Yes, even the one with the rifle and the shotguns. They're with me. It's like, all right, so you guys all stomp through looking very official, and the guards are like, okay. You guys go up to the second floor. There's basically like a big atrium, front door, big atrium, offices on the second floor, big wings, mummies over here, Pacific Archaeology over here. Go into the second floor, go into the back office. There's the office, which takes a couple of keys to get into. You'll notice there's bars on the outside door of the window of Reynolds' old office. And there's this big safe. And it's a big fucking Hollywood safe. You could have almost maybe you could have gotten the mummy in this thing as well. But who wants that, right? So, big safe, and they're like, we know the combination.
Take it down.
Get to work?
Yeah, 29 out of 60.
All right, you start working on getting the safe open. It's not just like spin and it's open. You put the stethoscope in, we're going to need to drill in here, and you start working on it, but it'll take you about, 15, 20 minutes to get it open. So you start working on that.
Oh no, he's been getting done.
Awareness rolls, please.
All right.
I can't do it. I'm cracking the safe.
Yes, that's right.
About this, I'm in a bad room with a bad light bulb.
Nope.
That's the good thing.
71.
I guess it's
63. And awareness roll.
83 out of 36.
All right, you don't hear anything. Of course, the officers don't. Well, you heard something.
I hear something.
Ross isn't hearing anything. He's like, shh, keep it down. I'm trying to work. You guys hear, whoa, 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 whoa.
Nice.
All right.
Now, who rolled the lowest? You did?
I rolled a 4, yeah.
You hear something that sounds a lot like, like that.
Like
Downstairs.
all right.
Someone getting sniped. Pretty bad by the time.
Sergeant, I point downstairs.
All right, you heard the dog bark, and you maybe didn't hear the second part of it because you're in a door upstairs. But yeah,
Still barking.
I have my pistol on it.
Successfully stopped.
it barked and stopped.
Yeah, I have my pistol at this point.
All right.
Yeah.
What about the rest of you? Well, you're going to step out of the office?
Yeah.
I'll pull it in.
All right. I will note that Ross's shotgun is unattended at the moment.
I'm just standing with him with my 1911, so.
He's not good at shotgunning.
Yeah.
44?
I mean, he knows what ends the bullets come out of. 44's not bad.
Yeah, go for it.
35.
It's buckshot. Technically, you're my officer. I can't say no.
All slugs.
All right. You open the door. Make an awareness roll.
21 I make.
21 makes it. All right. You start coming out, and it's not like Tony Montana stepping out onto that balcony at the end of Scarface, but there are 2 staircases going up, and there are guys coming up those staircases, hats, jackets, pistols out. In fact, pistols with what look like suppressors on them. Laying down there, you can see that right in front of the door, there's a couple more guys down there at the door. There's a couple of guards face down on the ground, dog clocked over on its side. As soon as you start to, now I am presuming that you didn't just step out, you went and looked out.
Yeah.
Let's see how well their spot hidden goes. 92. Okay. You look out. You see one of them seems to see you because he starts bringing his pistol up where you are at the doorway. He's probably at about, on the staircase and all, he's probably at about twice the pistol's base range from you, maybe. base range for pistols is something like, 20, 30 feet max, and so he's a little further away than that.
Yeah.
But he starts to bring his weapon up. What do you do with your weapon?
I yell back in, "Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves!" And then I just squirt the stairwell.
All right. It's two sides. It's two staircases that go down.
I shoot the side he's on.
All right. The two guys that didn't see you were on the opposite side.
Sure.
So when you were looking at the one side.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see how he does. 80 does not hit.
Okay.
Your dex is only like 12, right?
Right.
Okay. He's quicker than you.
Okay.
So he gets one shot off with this, and then it's some sort of bullet lands. Well, I'd like to say it hit the door frame next to you, but with an 80, it really doesn't.
No,
he shoots out the transom over you.
Yeah.
You know, there's a shattering of glass. The transom breaks.
87 won't do it though for me.
All right.
Trying to scare each other.
Very, very loud.
They approach Wake now.
Well, yeah, there is that. Incredibly loud noise. You didn't say how many rounds you're doing, so I'm just going to presume it's like a 3-round burst. This, the 1930s versions of these, and I didn't really specify it, but this is actually meant to be the FBI version.
Okay, so it's not. It doesn't have the slow and rapid modes.
The FBI version had a selector switch.
Oh, it did. Okay.
It did, and it even had a pistol grip. But I think I may be putting this the cart before the horse. I don't know that they had it by 1932, but even
no, they did. They did. I remember that was a shoot.
But so that's fine. But I know there's a selector switch on the BAR.
Okay.
By this time, whether it's a Navy issue or Marine issue or whatever, they've definitely got it. So you put 3 rounds down range. The banister splits apart. There's clouds of plaster that blow out of the wall. You got everyone's attention.
He pisses himself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In an enclosed room, it's not quite a mod deuce, but he drops to the carpeted stairs when everything explodes around him. Yeah, that got his full and undivided attention. What are the rest of you doing? You right behind him? All right. Do you fire in the same direction as him, or do you take the opposite staircase?
The opposite one, yeah.
All right, go ahead and give me a, what's your dex?
15.
All right. You are a little faster than these guys, so you'll get a choice of which one of these two gentlemen you want to shoot. There's 2 of them. They're not really close enough to get with one blast of buckshot, but they're.
Is one higher up?
Yes, one of them's further. One of them's closer to the top.
Yeah, the closer one then.
All right, go ahead.
62 out of 58.
All right, boom! There's a John Woo-sized explosion of wall plaster.
Really well.
Boom! It blows out of the wall, and they're just that got him to duck. 75. One of the guys takes a pot shot at you. The guy further downstairs, he misses. The other guy's ducking because of the enormous explosion. Now what are you gonna? Now what are we doing?
I was remaining guard on Ross to make sure that.
Ross is like, you're not helping with the safe cracking.
I'm trying to make sure that.
Do you want to keep working on the safe?
I feel like this is I'm gonna take my gun. It's like, this can wait.
Have your back. Keep cracking.
No, we can't.
No. Ross,
Here's my stethoscope. Keep
I'm
cracking.
like 12 minutes away.
Dual
This
stethoscope.
isn't going to be a 12 minute
12 minutes is, how many combat rounds is that? It's 20 times 12. Yeah, that's 240 combat rounds. We're not having 240 combat rounds. That would be the Battle of the Bulge. We're not doing the Battle of the Bulge. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, if nobody's coming to the door, it's kind of just prepping to make sure.
All right. Well. All right. So.
I'll decide whatever that would be.
All right. All right. You're gonna pick up your rifle and go, fuck this noise. We're gonna go shoot some things.
Wait, did anyone grab my shotgun?
Yeah,
I think he did.
he did.
Okay, yeah, I have the Colt.
All right.
You probably better than this number.
Jesus. All right. These guys start pinging away at you guys. Now, I am presuming that the plan is that you're using the side of the door so you can shoot that one side that guy's on.
Yeah.
You're using the other side of the door to fire at the 2 guys that are down there.
Yep.
You're only exposed to fire from the guys you're shooting at.
Yeah.
But there's still a little bit of the doorway in the way. So let's see here. All right. The guy shot at you. Let's see what the combat rules say, because I think this is a hit at this range with a 17, and I just need to figure out how cover works. Cover. Damage rating fails, reduces damage versus hit points from the children. All right. 4 points of damage. Let's call that halved, because it either went through the wall or is less a matter of hitting you directly as just a ricochet through the wood frame. Right. But he puts around right in. You get shot at twice. The bullets go flying past you. Actually, you should get to shoot first before they shot because you have the highest dex. You got that wrong.
45.
58. All right. That is in fact a hit. And I believe
Does it have
that
killing, Maddie?
And I don't know. I don't think it's lethal. I think it's only
2d10?
Yeah, at least 2d10.
2 and 6.
6. 8's not good for anybody. Boom! He blows up. You see the jacket erupt in pellets, and he goes backwards down the stairs. Let's see how bad he goes. I mean, this is bad. 9. He literally, from his heels, goes down the stairs like boom, boom. There's probably more damage on the way down the stairs. All right.
Super dead.
Good job.
Don't know, bro. That was yeah. You got us. Good job.
Double up. Okay. So there's apparently there are some rounds coming in that are coming at a really high angle. They're not coming from the stairs. Most people down in the mezzanine area or opening lobby who are trying to shoot up from the floor. So the bullets are coming by and they're landing in the ceiling over you guys' head through that door. All right. Now, are you close enough? Now, it's really tough to get 3 people in a doorway.
Worry that someone else might try to flank us in there. Is there a back entrance to this place?
There's no back entrance to this office.
Yeah.
And there's a secretary's area, and then there's a back office. You guys are all in the secretary's area. This guy and this guy and this guy, I think, were in the actual Reynolds office. And then
Window in Reynolds' office? Window in Reynolds' office?
Yes, but it's got bars over it.
Right, okay.
You can shoot through bars.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that
But it's closed and there's glass, and you'll hear the glass breaking as they shoot you through the window.
There's no ninja hanging outside.
Yeah.
You don't know that for sure.
Do I get a shot or?
Now it's your turn to fire.
Roll down.
74.
Not my night. Okay. All right. There's more noise.
There's more noise. That you're not doing the woodwork or the interior decor in this place any good whatsoever. Something of this image of this guy covered with plaster dust like it's flour. You know? All right, let's see here. Give me an awareness roll from you.
I thought it was a ninja. 95, no.
Nope, you don't hear nothing. They're down there talking some sort of foreign talk. You're absolutely sure it's not English.
I know Japanese.
I know Polish.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Give me a roll.
Japanese?
Is it?
No, on awareness.
Nope.
You are hearing there's gunshots.
I hear a lot of gunfire.
Yeah, that's the
Guys
problem.
shooting gun down here.
Oh yeah, that would be. On the plus side, their guns are relatively quiet. It's you guys with the shotgun and the BAR that are really messing it up for everybody.
It's going fairly well according to my plan.
Yeah. All right. New combat round. You pick a target on your side of the stairs.
I'll shoot the second guy.
All right.
There's only one guy left.
There's 2.
82, I guess.
Yeah, there was some guys
82.
down.
Boom.
There was some
All
guys
right.
on the stairs and there was some guys down below.
78. He misses. Your turn. All right. Let me see. It's his turn firing you. 86. He misses. It's now your turn again. 68.
That'll do it, finally. Yeah, 68 out of 68 will hit.
Oop, all right, roll me 10% or less on lethal damage. Otherwise, it's...
Oh, yeah, killing
The 2 numbers added together.
Yeah.
Killing
No,
26. It's still
11.
low. All right.
29, so that's
Yeah,
why,
I guess.
Oh, yes, it's 11.
So it's
yeah,
11.
all right. That's right. You fire down there. This time, You hit him. He was not standing up after the fire. He was actually laying on the stairs, shooting up at you. But you hit him, and he goes head down and barrel down on the stairs.
Okay.
Let's see here. Some more gunshots. There's some more gunfire that's coming from downstairs. It's obviously coming from, like, again, the floor, not on the staircases, but they're pistol shots.
Yeah.
But they're coming pretty fast. They're coming 2 or 3 around, like they're trying to do whatever the equivalent of suppressing fire would be.
Sure, with pistols.
With pistols, where it's like, as long as as long as you don't come outside that doorway with the big nasty gun, they're perfectly fine.
Right.
So they're banging away downstairs. You still have a guy. He does something odd. You still have the drop on him because you're high decks. He actually tries to roll down the stairs rather than get up and get down the stairs. He starts rolling. He like tucks and tries to roll down the stairs to the bottom. Do you want to try and tag him before he gets off the staircase?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead and give me another roll to hit.
Pretty 11.
11? Oh dear. Please roll 4d10 damage.
He liquefies.
Seems to recall that being 4. Double.
10.
On the first time?
Yeah.
10-1.
7. 1.
Okay, yeah. Well, apparently when he rolled down the stairs, his head was towards the banister because the shotgun burst went in through the top of his head and exited somewhere in here. Boosh! And instead of rolling, he just kind of comes to a stop. He flops. His brain pan empties onto the Persian rug. Splurp. All right. There's sort of a cry of astoundment from downstairs. Whoa! And
all right, frag out. I'm gonna send a pineapple grenade over the stairs at him.
Not even look, just going downstairs.
It's the last fuck I have to give.
You're prepping this round, so you let go of the BAR.
Yeah.
You pull this round out, you'll be throwing it next round.
Next round. Okay, cool.
All right, make me an awareness roll. It's modified. 0-1. All right. Okay. You hear a shout, and then you hear a clank from downstairs.
Get down!
So much for frag in!
Yeah.
What'd you roll?
14.
Okay, it's pretty low. You hear somebody yell. There's a lot of gunfire. What's your awareness?
My awareness.
It's pretty high.
71. All
right, yeah, that's less than 10. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and say you hear the same thing, which somebody yells like a warning, and then there's a clank sound. Everybody hits the deck?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. There is a poof sound. A big poof, and there's a giant cloud of white smoke that rises up to through the mezzanine. And what appears to be a bunch of sparks that fly through the air. You have probably seen a Willie Peter go off. Yeah. They were used extensively in places like the Argonne Forest, although you may be a little young.
I'm a little young, but I'm sure we were using them in Nicaragua.
Yeah. Sadly, you probably were. Go United Fruit Company. So, sadly, you probably were.
Yeah, I'm sure I was.
There's a lot of, we're going to make the forest go. If we just make the forest all go away, we can finally find these guys.
Yeah, no.
So, it looks like somebody has popped a Willie Peter downstairs. And it is burning away. What do you do?
Get safe open. It's not going to be open. Like, that is going to happen way before I get back. Burning down the museum.
Yeah.
Am I in any danger in the office? I'm guarding the safe.
If this thing is lit fire to the building, which it probably has, because, hey, white phosphorus burns everything. Now, mind you, the floor down there was marble. But the staircases are wood.
Right.
What's going to catch fire first are the staircases.
Yeah, so basically the building catches on fire and it's suffocating.
Yeah. The window behind you's got bars over it. But again, you've got safe cracking tools. There may be a way to bust the window out.
Yeah, try and bust the window out.
So, if nothing else, just the butt of our guns and
Like, the safe is still closed.
Yeah,
They're not
banging it with handguns is going to break bars.
Oh,
Like, the safe is closed, right? There's no way they're getting the safe.
Well, it doesn't say fireproof on it.
Yeah, really.
Right then, yeah.
They tend to burn
Now,
real
there
good.
are fireproof safes in that period. They usually have this weird thing where there's all this clay, ceramic clay on the inside, and then another metal layer of metal. And this thing could get so hot with all the metal falling on top of it, or wood, it could heat up the interior of that thing to damage or destroy what's inside. Paper could eventually hit the Fahrenheit 451, poof, and ignite.
which is like an oven. So.
Yeah, it could cook with whatever's in there. Now, I agree, breaking the window open is job one.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me like a either a mechanical roll or you have safe cracking. It's based on what?
Safe cracking
Intelligence. Go ahead and use that roll against your intelligence.
32.
Okay. You start breaking that window open. Now, this safe cracking includes crowbars and hammers and chisels, and not everyone has to use. You don't have to use them all at the same time. You can employ, make the officers do something, or him. He seems hefty. No, you can't blow it off with a hand grenade. I always love when people open a locked door with a hand grenade. Like, all that's gonna do is blow shrapnel into everybody's face on this side. Why are you doing that? Just balance the hand grenade right there on the doorknob. It'll totally work.
It's the most disappointing thing in any combat veteran's life is when he sees his first hand grenade go off and go, that was fucking it?
Yeah, and yet everyone's full of shrapnel.
I do have mechanical.
I was one of those like training videos where the Chinese sergeant jerks the guy into the ditch when he bounces the grenade back into the
Right.
It's just like, oh wow, that's really bad. my roommate was in the army. He said the thing that scared him the most were hand grenades. He was just terrified that somebody would doofus it up and it would just go off in the middle of them.
Well, I mean, we were always taught that, but then in Afghanistan, my squad leader rolled one right in between a dude's legs. Did nothing. Went off. The guy just walked out like looking dazed, like a firework went off between his feet. Not like we just blew him up.
Granted, the modern hand grenades are offensive hand grenades instead of defensive. And those old Mark IIs and whatever the British one had, the Mills bomb, much bigger weapons than the ones we have today.
Well, and their frag was way more effective.
So, all right, you start working on the door, the window. You guys can break that open with relative ease. The question is how to get down. You're on the second floor. Is there anybody outside waiting for you to jump out the back window? Meanwhile, are you going to try and deal with that? Now, granted, you can just throw a grenade out the window, and whoever's down there just gets whatever they deserve. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. But afterwards, you can climb out the window or whatever, or stick your head out.
Do you want me to roll strength and try and bang away at the safe and see if we can get it open?
I mean, is that possible? Is that like how?
Your previous roll was 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You could try again to get a shorter roll, or I don't know. You want to be absolutely insane? Pull the fucking window frame out of the window and smash out all the plaster and wood and push the goddamn safe out the
fit through the window.
Well, no, you'd have to bust the window frame out of the window.
How big is the
But you get a hammer, though. You said you got a hammer. Just start banging.
Shotguns like blow open a hole.
Well, certainly between the BARs and shotguns, yes, you could totally like blast away at the outside of the window. The BAR, however, the bullets would travel through the window and into the neighbor's house, and then possibly into the neighbor's. Shotguns, much better idea. You can just
make a hole because it's like a wooden building up top.
Yeah.
And just make a
Man,
hole
they
and then push it
never
down.
had to worry about automobile glass with OT6 back in the day. Everything.
Let's throw the safe through the window.
All right. So all right, you guys have pulled the bars out, which are into the window frame. Then you start bashing away at the actual window frame itself. Go ahead and you should be in charge of this. I'll make you roll.
Okay.
Give me a roll on strength, which I think is 15.
Well, we didn't get to the car.
Well, that's fair.
72.
Just made it. Yep.
Just made it. All right. You guys push the window out. Now, did you toss a hand grenade out before?
No, I did.
All right. When the window frame goes out, at no point during this are you guys getting any fire from the ground. No bullets are flying up to hit the window. But eventually you push the window frame out and kick the wooden slats out, and you can just push this thing out, and it falls, and it does not bounce. It just goes thud and just absolutely, impales itself into the ground on the floor. It's not a very dramatic landing, but it's not like pushing a guy with a bagpipe out of it. Yeah, that's the best sound ever.
Is the professor, the doctor?
Well, he's been laying on the floor most of the time this has been happening, but now it's like, oh my God, the building's on fire, and he eventually is smart enough to go hit one of the alarms.
Oh, good.
Which has started the alarm bells, the fire department.
Going to help considering gunfire.
Yeah, well, the gunfire stopped. Everyone's lost interest.
No, yeah, all right.
In Beacon Hill, from automatic weapons fire.
Burning down the entire museum.
Exactly. So,
well, secrecy is something we know. Yeah.
So, you guys get out all right, let's talk about getting out the window.
Yeah.
Everyone give me an athletics roll.
All right.
And it's better if people with higher athletics go first to catch the falling people.
Yeah, I'll go
with
first.
lower.
Yeah.
78. Oh, no. Ouch.
He takes a tumble.
18. Out of 68.
All right.
72 out of 78.
You land. The problem is the fucking safe was right under the goddamn window.
Right.
You hit the fucking safe. It just that metal corner went right into your fucking ass, and you know that it's bruised all the way down to your goddamn hip bone.
Yep.
You didn't go crack, but it's 99. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's 4 points of damage.
All right.
You're miserable.
Fair.
You land. You do not break a leg or anything. You land. How's your athletics?
72 out of 78.
You get down in one piece.
23 out of 30.
All right, you get down in one piece.
99.
Well, luckily,
I wasn't looking for the crit.
It is a fumble.
It is a crit fumble.
Yes. I'm great at this game, right?
Oh,
You are.
Gosh.
Oh, no. Oh!
10 points of damage.
Well, that's my maximum.
Well, then you are, was it this unconscious?
Unconscious?
No, 2 is unconscious, 0 is dead.
All right.
Unless someone can knock his head on him.
Fucking head.
Yeah, he lands on his fucking head.
I pushed up to safe.
Yeah, probably.
Daniel, I'm sorry, I can't fix that.
So who has?
No, you can.
You're the doctor. First aid him.
Can I try to rescue
You
him?
can try and rescue him.
Can I, like, no.
No, not on the way down.
So in this case, what did we use? First aid or just
First aid.
Whatever's higher.
surgery or first aid?
Surgery might have to happen
Medicine
later.
or
All right.
medicine's fine.
12.
12's good.
Good.
12's good. All right, that'll keep him from dying.
Good.
But I'm going to say you hit your head
Yes.
on the safe, big
that's
bloody
fine.
gash,
That's fine.
blood streaming down your face, probably a skull fracture.
Oh, no.
You're out like a light. Everyone else is like, oh my God. And you're like, don't move him. The building's on fire. We have to move him eventually. He'll turn into a wiener if he's too this close to the building. Also, the safe is a problem. Are you guys going to try and drag the safe away from the building?
Sure.
All right.
Tied to the back of the car.
Yeah, get some treats.
That's what I was thinking.
Pandora pull? Maybe.
There are people watching you do this at this point. All right. I'm just saying.
We're with the government. In the Navy.
Everything's fine. Go back inside your homes.
All right.
I love
The professor also had to jump.
Oh, no.
I try and catch him.
Oh, you try and catch him? All right, roll athletics.
7.
7? All right, actually, let's do that as well.
78.
You were one of the first guys out the thing, so no one could catch you. Roll the same thing for him, because you should have been able to intercept. You do it for the professor, you could have done it for him. It's a fumble, so it's going to be harder.
Okay. 46 out of 78.
No, it's not under half. He still gets his head injury. Would you roll a 7?
7.
You managed to keep him from breaking his leg. And now it's like trying to get this safe out of the yard. This nice soft ground that the safe is partially embedded
I
in.
hit that.
Yeah. Give me an athletics roll to jump out the window.
No, you can't make
Don't
me.
roll a 99.
We already went through that.
Don't make me save you.
We're an 88.
My athletics at base of 30. 46.
26. All right, you land without breaking it.
46. Ah, tattletale.
What?
It was 46. I said 46 and you heard 26.
Oh, okay, what's your athletics?
30.
13. All right.
Uh-oh.
4 points of damage.
No,
You had the same problem. Everyone keeps hitting the goddamn safe because it's right under the window. You push it out. So he got 4, you got 4.
Ranking officers.
You know, all the officers are, not all the officers are out. All right, so let's see here. What's your strength? 10? 10, you're out.
Oh, nah.
All right,
10.
all right, you guys have to move him to the car first.
Yeah.
All right, move him to the car, put him in the car with the big bloody head wound. He's stabilized, you're going to have to stay with him. All right, the rest of you are going to have to try and move this safe. 10, 12, 11, 15. 25, 23, 48. Go ahead and let's see how much this thing weighs. Where the size of the safe is.
Anything about doing like a percentage?
Okay,
maybe?
it's it's a size 25 object. So instead, it's your two skills. That is to say, 11 and 12. So it's 13. You guys can move it. The question is how fast. All right. To move it quickly to the car, you're going to have to roll.
I drive the car close.
Oh yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
You will make a drive roll. However, I warn you, this does mean driving over rhododendrons and hedges and.
Just ruining the fun trip.
3 out of 82.
Maddie.
Well, it is not a fumble. But you smash the car's bumper or you take out a taillight trying to drive backwards because you hit part of the garden gate and it's like smash. It's like, oh good, evidence. We've left behind fragments of taillight and paint. So, but yeah, there's your taillight's out. You've moved the car a lot closer. You get the trunk, you get the safe into the car. The bottom of this thing just bottoms out with the safe in it because it's heavy. Into the car and away into the night. Do you leave the professor behind, laying on the ground?
If we can fit him in the car, yeah, we'll take.
Well, you could. You got him here.
Yeah.
And this thing's in the trunk. The safe's in the trunk. So.
Yeah,
All right.
He must have been just having a terrible time during the fight, just freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. All right. You pull away from this place. There are people watching all of this happen.
Oh, good.
All right. And you're driving away.
And go, yeah, we're the mob. See, boss. Nah.
And you are now, I believe.
We are definitely not the government. Nah.
You're now driving back to what the Boston Naval Yard. All right. Give me an awareness roll.
65 out of 71.
All right. There is, once you get away from that neighborhood and you're driving out towards some of the crappier parts of town, it doesn't take long for you to realize, again, because it's late at night, nobody's out, that there's a car following you.
Yep.
They are, eventually at some point, do you try and lose them or do you...
I definitely try to lose.
All right, give me a roll. It's going to be modified because, oh my God, the back end of this car is a giant safe.
On that 8.
35 out of my base is 82.
All right. Okay. These guys accelerate, and they begin to catch up to you. They're doing a little bit better than you are. Okay. They open up what sounds like a Chicago typewriter. And I'm going to point out that bringing the safe along was a really good idea. Because the safe is in the trunk, basically covering, at the back window level. And so there's and you can hear the rounds bouncing off of the giant steel safe in the back of the car.
Tick, 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 tick.
You're in the back, he's in the back, probably the professor's in the back. You're in the. Who's in the front? We got two possible.
I'll be shotgun.
No, I'll be shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to lean out the back of this thing?
No, I'm leaning out.
Has this broken the back window by chance?
Oh yes. Are you?
1911.
All right. You shoot with the 1911. You got one hand on his head like this, holding his brain in, and you're shooting at the back
Like a good corpsman should. Good.
All right.
That's 42 out of 68.
Shoot, 53 out of 45. Missed it.
You make some noise. A hot casing goes down the back of his shirt.
I'm a doctor,
That is
not a
the worst
lineman.
thing
It is the
ever.
worst. That is the worst thing ever.
All right,
42 out of 68. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and give me how big of... I should have asked first. How big of
I clicked it on a rapid, so that was an 8-rounder.
All right, let's go ahead and give me roll for automatic fire.
Okay.
And now there are two guys in the front seat of this car, which puts them right next to each other as far as the kill damage goes, as far as the damage being shareable.
So what do I roll? What's different about that?
You would need to. Well, you're just going to get to roll two different different damage rolls.
Okay.
So roll lethality for the driver and for the guy with the Tommy gun.
Yes!
5.
Five
Well,
out of 10.
you killed the driver.
Nailed it.
Well, then you killed the other guy.
No.
20. All right.
So-
2d10 on the other guy.
So 14.
14? Oh, it's 14? Yeah, okay. The car goes off into a telephone pole. Boom! The dead guy goes through the windshield. The guy who was, hanging out the door, I don't know how bad it is when he's thrown into the window, the rail, because it probably...
Not a problem anymore.
It probably slices him partway through.
He's totally.
They smash.
He got the Darth Maul treatment.
Yeah, and oh dear, that didn't go well for anybody. So then there was the actual guy in the back seat. But whatever. Maybe the guy who went through the front windshield wasn't the driver. I don't know. Let's just say that the car's not doing very good.
There was a guy in the back.
He may have exited the vehicle. The car comes to a crashing stop. There's nobody following you now. You race off to the naval yard. You arrive. Congratulations when you break open the safe eventually.
Yeah.
You get a funky, weird scroll. Congratulations.
We got a scroll.
You probably also get... Well, the promotion's balanced against the amount of explaining we're going to have to do to the Boston Police Department.
Caught.
Not technically, but ish. You're caught ish. I'm going to say that what happens is that the building burns to the ground. All right, the Cabot Museum burns to the ground during this. The police show up. The newspapers are speculating that once again the dastardly foreigners who had been robbing the place have come to wreak their revenge and have burned the place to the ground since they couldn't get whatever they wanted out of it. Yeah. As far as cleaning up the rest of it, there's probably going to take some... It's late at night, so I won't give you guys a lot of work about trying to convince Detective Keith that he should, get a bucket and a mop and mop up the 3 Japanese gentlemen who are dead in that car wreck. It helps that the car caught on fire. Yeah. So that helps a lot to make them less identifiable. They're not identified. In fact, the guy who got thrown out the windshield was the only guy who was really identified. It was the driver. The guy in the back seat was just killed on impact. Yeah. That car burns up. There's only one identity to deal with, and you have a Japanese businessman who is some sort of, guy who's here in Boston, on a business trip to buy baked beans for Japan or something. But he turns out to be a Japanese national with a Japanese passport, the whole 9 yards. Once you guys go and find out where he is, you can toss his hotel room and find out that there's a group of Japanese businessmen who were there. And you can police up all their goodies, which mostly amount to exactly the kind of shit you'd expect from spooks. These guys have one-time pads. These guys have lock-picking equipment. These guys had silenced weapons. They had, they'll be since they're all dead. There's nobody to clean up and sanitize their safe house. That will fall into your laps. So you come up with a Japanese safe house, disguised as the Wing Kong Exchange or whatever. That sounds awful Chinese, but you get the point. Let's say Teriyaki Exchange. Yeah. So some sort of Japanese business that was here in Boston, not anymore. Terrible car accident. Don't know where the other 3 guys are. Except, obviously they're burning up in a building over there on Beacon Hill. You get the scroll, and people who are paid more than you show up and say, "Thanks, good work. We'll be taking this," and you do not see it again.
Top men.
But
that becomes a subject for a Delta Green story later on.
now, what this scenario is I've got this long idea for a Katana Toa campaign.
Yep.
And it starts in 1919 where you guys play Navy people who go to the island that has been zapped, that the Japanese were working on, that everyone died on. And you explore that mystery. Depending on what information you recover, this is now information you use for the second scenario, which is investigating really the after effects of the story. The Hazel Heed story. Not the mound. Yeah, what's the actual title? What's the actual title? I can't remember.
Power of the Museum.
Out of the Ends.
Oh, out of the Ends. Power of the Museum was the Dimensional Shambler. So.
Yeah. So it's you basically end up cleaning up the after effects of that short story.
Oh, wow.
All the characters were characters from the short story, from Sergeant O'Keefe to the various people killed. I just cribbed that right out of the story, so that you guys, because the story ends when they do the autopsy on the mummy, and then we're never going to speak of this again. But then what happens?
Yeah.
You know, you now have both scrolls. The cultists are still out there. And the Japanese are still interested in this because of what happened to their people. They kidnapped. It says one of the guys disappears, so I thought he's kidnapped by the Japanese who are trying to get him to let them into the building or somehow trade him for the scroll. And then what will happen is there'll be another scenario set in and around very close to World War II in the Pacific that will involve the Japanese, or maybe not. Then there'll be a 1950s scenario, a 60s. And I'm going to basically move the story forward like a decade at a time. Yeah. So you can have younger characters show up as older men in the later scenarios, but your starting information only gets better if you succeed at the earlier scenarios. So it ultimately builds to a 21st century confrontation with the modern Delta Green. But you start off as before there's Delta Green, back when you're in you're post Innsmouth, but you're now in the Navy. Then you're going to be in Delta Green in World War II in the glory days. Then there's going to be a part where you're in that, sort of post World War II, sort of like the Delta Green of fall of Delta Green, except maybe a little earlier. And that's the idea, is that the story will advance like that, eventually culminating. And each time you move forward, the threat changes, because the threat is if you see the creature.
Yeah.
And even if you see a photograph of the creature. So at first, you can put it in a film, right? But who's going to sit still for a film, right? The Japanese soldiers rioted when the film started. All right, well, what if we just splice one frame in per every 20 or 30 frames in the film? Can people just sit there in the theater until they
subliminal shrivel?
Yeah, shrivel up while they're watching the movie. Well, I think they're watching, I don't know, what's a film in 1936 or, Wizard of Oz or whatever. Yeah.
Or put it in The Man Who Laughs.
Yeah. So maybe you can slip it into a movie, all right? At some point, television becomes a thing. Right? In 1950, suddenly television is a thing. Okay, that's terrible.
And the internet happens.
And then the internet happens.
Augmented reality.
Let me show you this gift. It is the creature from the mythos called Katana Toa.
All right. It's literally so ugly it kills you. All right.
Who is some
it
sort
doesn't
of,
kill you, it mummifies you alive.
Yeah. And it's some sort of, it's based on different stories. Cthulhu's its father, its uncle, its nephew, all that sort of August Derleth bullshit. It's also supposedly brought to Earth by the creatures from Yagath, which may be the fungi, or it may be the guys who left the ruins on Yagath before the fungi moved in, because there's those dark towers on Yagath that are abandoned. But it's essentially a weapon. To my mind, Katana Toa is a giant, sentient, organic weapon that has been left abandoned on Earth from some war, some conflict long ago. And it's a question of who's going to get to be in charge of it. And if everyone has the scroll, then your side's immune. And even if anyone gets accidentally zapped, you can just go and tap them out. We're back to normal. Everything's great.
Tap them out. They'll be fine. They won't have resistance.
So, the idea is that each step of the way, the new technology makes the threat of Katana Toa worse and worse until he comes and gets you via your phone. Anywhere on the planet.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Even slipping that image in one every.
Yeah.
I figure the Katana Toa Coast will open a porn site.
I can just see
Because that's how everyone wants to get found, is dead, mummified, and
I could just see like putting this on like a share site, like a torrent file site, and just spread it out.
And once it's out,
I'll see you tomorrow, man. So
once it's out, awesome. Stop it.
No.
So that's how the campaign will evolve, and you guys have just played one of the middle scenarios.
Yay! This was a this was a hell of a game. Thanks a lot. This was great. So we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.